Ding Ling approached Emo again to thank him for saving her life. Emo knew that the Herb Valley was about to close in about half a month, so he wanted to give them some pills. He had a good impression of the three. Emo took out 4 jade bottles and gave 1 bottle to each of them, but to Ding Ling he gave 2. 1 bottle contained a cultivation increasing pill. Ding Ling was about to reach the golden core state, and she had come to the valley precisely to look for a stroke of fortune for that. Emo had quite a lot of such pills, so it didn't matter if he gave her 1. Even in a 5-star sect, it wouldn't be that easy to get a cultivation increasing pill, though. Xianxia was about to open it, but Emo stopped him. "Look at it when you get back. I'll be going now. This is goodbye." "Huh, Brother Yi, you're going?" Ding Ling had a good impression of Emo. Now that Emo was about to leave, she was a little sad and asked, "How about you come look for herbs with us? The Herb Valley will be closing in half a month." Emo shook his head and wanted to say something when a voice sounded by him. "Friend, I'm Wang Pu, 7-star sect Tianxian sect's disciple." Emo was confused. He didn't know this Wang Pu at all. How come a sect member from a big sect was coming to talk to him? Even Guiqifan and company were bewildered. Seeing how Emo didn't speak, Wang Pu saluted with his fists politely and continued. "I saw that Brother Yi could even break through the demonic soul-binding ray, and I wish to be friends with you. I hope you can excuse my sudden approach." Emo immediately became wary. He sensed that something more than that was up. A golden core state level 8 cultivator came to call him brother? What Emo was worried about the most was that someone might have been watching his fight with Guicheng. Did this person see him use his heaven fire? Emo wasn't some 1,000-year-old scheming master, but he had experienced a lot. His sixth sense told him that Wang Pu didn't have pure intentions in approaching him. Emo smiled plainly and saluted with his fists. "Just some small tricks." Wang Pu shook his head. "Brother Yi, I think you're too humble." Although Brother Yi used a hidden means, I can still feel the scorching dash Emo's heart sunk. But this Wang Pu then suddenly changed the topic after saying the word scorching. "I just know Brother Ye's surname is Yi. What is your full name? What's the meaning of this, Wang Pu?" Before Emo could answer, a cold voice sounded. Emo looked coldly at Xiao Shui and Wang Pu, and there was a sliver of disgust in his eyes. How could he not realize now that Wang Pu was their due to this woman? Emo ignored the two and saluted with his fists to Guiqifan and company. "Brother Gua, Xianxia, Martial Sister Ding, we'll meet again." Then Emo stood on his kitchen knife and left. Wang Pu looked at the direction Emo left, and his face was green. He didn't think a mere golden core state level 1 would dare to be so rude to him. But he didn't chase up. He had marked Emo with his spirit sense already. He didn't need to chase Emo in front of everyone right away. When Xiao Shui saw Emo look at her with a sliver of disgust, she felt very uncomfortable despite believing that Emo was using this as a method to get close to her. She thought for a moment and then started chasing after him on her flying sword without even telling Yang Ro. Emo believed that if he flew at full speed, even Xiao Shui wouldn't be able to catch up. But with so many people there watching, he really didn't know why Xiao Shui was doing this. Hence, Emo stopped and just stared coldly at Xiao Shui. Xiao Shui seemed to know Emo would stop and looked calmly at Emo. "You gave me such a precious pill. Perhaps you knew I wouldn't be able to reject it and dash after pausing for a moment." Xiao Shui saw that Emo didn't have any intentions of speaking, so she could only continue. "And indeed, that pill is very important to me. So I'll agree to one request of yours as long as it's not too over the line." "Tell me." "Agree to my request?" Emo immediately realized that this woman was still thinking so highly of herself, thinking that he was trying to catch her attention. He gave her such a precious pill? Emo only gave them some condensed red pills and azure one pills. Those were the lowest quality golden core state pills he had. The condensed red pill could be bought, so since he was desperate for Ning Qingxue and the others' whereabouts, he gave 4 azure one pills in his desperation as well. But even then, he had nearly 100 of them. However, this woman thought it was some high-level pill. Wasn't she from a 7-star sect? How come an azure one pill was so precious to her? But then Emo immediately realized why. Level 5 spirit herbs weren't abundant even for 7-star sects. and sect members would need sect contribution points to get something. Moreover, the pills he gave were special grade. That was something only pill kings could achieve. Having gotten so many high-level spirit herbs in the valley and being a pill king, Emo hadn't thought that much about it. Emo wasn't going to be low now and ask for her to give the pills back, but he still felt unhappy after realizing it. I already asked what I wanted to ask, and I don't need your help with anything else. I'm going now. I just hope you don't keep following me. Then, Emo got on Zissou and disappeared in front of her. Yang Ro had also followed over by now and saw Qiu Shui in a daze, so she asked immediately, Sister Shui, what happened? Why did that guy leave? Did you make it clear that what he's doing is ridiculous? Qiu Shui shook her head. She didn't know what was going through Yemo's head anymore, but it didn't seem like he was playing hard to get. After Yemo left, Guo Qifan and the others also left. Martial brother, do you think that Qiu Shui would give Brother Yi a hard time? Yan Qi asked. Guo Qifan shook his head. I've heard about that Qiu Shui. She doesn't like killing. She must have some other business with Brother Yi. Besides, even if she wanted to do anything, with Brother Yi being capable of killing Guicheng, I don't think he would be afraid of her. Ding Ling then took out 2 jade bottles and opened them. Let me see what pills Brother Yi gave me. Ha! What's wrong? Guo Qifan and Yan Qi immediately came over. It's a top-grade cultivation increasing pill and a bottle of special-grade condensed red pills. This. To a 5-star sect member, these 2 pills were absurd. Guo Qifan and Yan Qi also immediately opened the bottles Emo gave them and said, I also got 12 condensed red pills. We owe him big time. Yan Qi murmured to himself. Guo Qifan put the bottle away and said, Put these things away. Don't speak about them. Brother Yi has no simple origin. We actually owe him more for saving Martial's sister, so let's just keep it in our hearts. Yes. Yan Qi and Ding Ling agreed. The 3 sped away even faster. Emo stopped not far away, changed all his clothes and washed himself. He had experienced a lot, and this wasn't the first time someone planted a spirit sense mark on him. If he wasn't concerned that Wang Pu might look for trouble with Guo Qifan and company, he would set up a trap formation here and kill Wang Pu. But he knew that Guo Qifan and company had been there when Wang Pu talked to him, so if he died, they would be suspected. Indeed, not long after Emo left, Wang Pu appeared and said with a green face, Cunning brat. The herb valley was so big that Emo couldn't even tell where he was. He just kept going north and collecting herbs along the way. This desert herb valley was really a natural garden. Even though Emo didn't pass by anywhere special, he still found large quantities of level 3 and level 4 herbs, as well as a few level 5 ones. Although he was flying north, Emo subconsciously still avoided the way he came from. He really feared that black mist. That thing was too scary. If he were more powerful, perhaps he would go study it, but now he just wanted to stay as far away from it as possible. On the 7th day of Yemo's travel, Emo picked up on some cultivation essence waves with his spirit sense. Emo didn't want to care too much about it, but he also wanted to see who was fighting. Thinking about this, he scanned his spirit sense over immediately. But when Emo saw that it was a golden core state peak stage cultivator fighting a woman who had her face covered, he immediately turned in their direction and charged over. His heart was beating rapidly. He knew that golden core state peak stage. It was the strongest cultivator from back at the Spirit Marrow Pond. Emo saw with his own eyes how the man got at least 100 spirit crystals. How could he let this opportunity go? Not to mention, he had almost died to that man before. Emo made his cultivation level seem to be at Foundation Establishment State level 7 again. He knew that the Golden Core State peak stage knew he was at level 7, so he wouldn't suspect anything. The two both saw Emo come over, and both of them seemed to be interested in this Foundation Establishment State level 7. It was understandable that the Golden Core State peak stage man would look at him with fascination. Emo even suspected that if he left immediately, the man would leave behind that woman to go capture him instead. However, he had never seen the masked woman before, so why would she look at him with shock too? Seeing that Emo had no intentions of leaving, the two started fighting again. Cultivation essence rattled. Explosions kept sounding in the air. and the fighting grew more intense with Yemo's arrival, as though both sides wanted to end the other party quickly. Yemo checked the woman's power level. She was a golden core state level 7 cultivator, but being able to fight such an intense battle with a golden core state peak stage cultivator, it clearly meant that she had a lot of various methods. But Yemo's battle sense was acute enough to tell that if he didn't intervene, it wouldn't be long before that golden core state peak stage man won. Yemo didn't intervene, though. The most important thing were the 100 or so spirit crystals that golden core state peak stage cultivator had. That was a huge fortune. With enough spirit crystals, Yemo would be able to reach golden core state middle stage in a short time. That would make him really happy. At the same time, Yemo was also very clear that he was no match for this golden core state peak stage fighter yet. Seeing the two fight an intense battle, Yemo started laying out formations around them. Seeing a foundation establishment state level 7 set up formation flags around them and throwing down top-grade spirit stones, the two golden core state cultivators thought it funny. What use could it have even if this small cultivator laid some formations? The formations that a foundation establishment state level 7 kid set down wouldn't even be able to block one strike from a golden core state cultivator. In their eyes, Yemo was being insolent. Rumble, right when the formation was set up, the masked woman was smashed away. However, she didn't fly far before smashing into the defensive formation Yemo had just set up, shaking it a little. The formation Yemo had set up activated with a shining yellow light, but that was it. The defensive formation didn't break as it sealed the woman and peak stage cultivator inside of it with a faint yellow light. The masked woman was dazed. She even forgot to wipe the blood from her mouth as she looked dazedly at Yemo. "You set up a level 3 formation? You're a level 3 formation master." Yemo sneered. A level 3 formation was nothing. If he had the time and materials, he could even set up a level 4 formation. He had also set up a stealth attack formation. That golden core state peak stage also put on a serious look. He didn't care about Yemo's foundation establishment state power, but the level 3 formation made him become more careful. He believed that Yemo wouldn't be able to stop him regardless, but he didn't reach the golden core state peak stage by simply trusting in assumptions. "What do you want?" the masked woman asked Yemo coldly. Yemo smiled plainly. "I have no conflict with you. I'll open the formation and you can go. But I have some problems with him. I need to take something from him." Yemo's words were very funny, but the masked woman didn't laugh. Someone who can easily set up level 3 formations wasn't simple. Her master told her that she shouldn't easily offend a formation master. Clearly Yemo was such a master. She also thought of when Yemo killed someone beyond his level and didn't look down on Yemo at all. She nodded to Yemo and walked out of the defensive formation. This time, the formation didn't do anything, meaning that it was completely under the control of this foundation establishment state cultivator. Seeing her leave, Yemo didn't care. Even if he didn't use formations, he wasn't scared of a golden core state level 7. Even if he couldn't win, he could run away. "You've got balls. I haven't gone looking for you yet, but you dare to come for me?" The golden core state peak stage sneered. Yemo smiled. "You haven't looked for me? I think it's just that you couldn't find me." Without question, this golden core state peak stage cultivator must have been looking everywhere for him. "Give me the magic artifact that contains the spirit marrow. I promise you can leave after that. Other than this, I won't touch anything of yours." Unexpectedly, this golden core state peak stage didn't attack Yemo. "Okay? Give me your storage ring, and I promise too that if it satisfies me, I'll let you go," Yemo replied calmly. As he said that, Yemo threw out another formation flag. This immediately clouded the environment inside the formation. The golden core state peak stage man couldn't even see Yemo's face clearly anymore, and his spirit sense also became weak. The cultivator was shook. He waved his hand, and a colored flag appeared in his hand, which he then threw out immediately. The small flag turned 10 meters big in an instant, and the sky became ghastly under its influence. Yemo subconsciously shivered at the change. Yemo clearly saw the cultivator use only a hammer-like magic artifact when fighting the masked woman before. Yemo couldn't help but wonder why both Guicheng and this man used ordinary moves and magic artifacts to fight other people but immediately took out their most powerful assets to fight him. He appeared as only a Foundation Establishment State Level 7 right now. EMO immediately threw out tens of formation flags as well as Zisu. He knew that it would be suicide to compete in Cultivation Essence against a Golden Core State Peak Stage opponent. It would be stupid to not utilize the formation right now. If he wanted to win, he would need the formation to suppress the man and use Shadowless to slowly torture him. Shadowless had killed a Golden Core State Peak Stage before, so EMO wasn't too worried. And this situation was actually much better than when he killed Li Chongqing. He was only at the Foundation Establishment State before, but now he was at the Golden Core State and had formations to help him. After throwing out the flag, the sky rumbled as tens of yellow rays shot out of the formation, charging into the flag. The cloudiness in the formation was getting worse and worse. The Golden Core State Peak Stage was shook when his flag was stopped. His flag was made out of living souls, and although it had only just been completed, it was capable of stealing souls. He didn't expect a Foundation Establishment State would be able to suppress it with a formation. Then suddenly countless purple sword rays slashed at his face. The masked woman looked dazedly at the formation and the countless explosions inside of it, but she couldn't see anything. Since when was this Foundation Establishment State cultivator this strong? As the purple sword ray swooped down, the Golden Core State cultivator immediately realized that EMO wasn't at Foundation Establishment State Level 7. No matter how much of a prodigy a Foundation Establishment State Level 7 he could be, he wouldn't be able to use a sword ray of that caliber. However, it wasn't the time to think about that. He spat some essence blood and summoned the flag back with it. It got stopped by the formation at first, but due to the burning essence blood, it only took an instant to bring it back. Then, the flag stopped EMO's purple sword rays. The purple sword rays and the flag clashed together, creating a screeching sound that was absolutely unbearable. EMO felt his cultivation essence rustle and he almost spat out some blood. But the flag's effects were far from done. Soon, the screeching sound started to summon something, as though from it came from hell. EMO's head was dizzy. EMO's soul was strong, so he immediately could tell what was going on. It was the main effect of the flag. The flag was trying to summon his soul into the formation. This Golden Core State cultivator was underestimating his formation too much. EMO threw out a few more formation flags and Zisu shone even brighter. Countless yellow light ray got activated from within the formation and they swept the flag again. This time, EMO had used the Illusion Cloud Essence Binding Strike. With EMO's current power, it could only bind the cultivation essence of a Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator for a brief moment, but that was enough. Shadowless had already made a move. Shadowless had cooperated with EMO countless times, and it was very proficient at such things. EMO was sure that if he hadn't had the formation, it wouldn't have even been easy to stop the flag, and much less bind the cultivation essence of this Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator. The Golden Core State Peak Stage Master suddenly noticed his cultivation essence had paused for a moment. He immediately realized things weren't good. He had been in countless battles and for the first time he feared EMO. It seemed like this cultivator had all sorts of undetectable means. The Golden Core State cultivator wanted to run away and take back his flag, but then he felt his meridians ache. It was as though large amounts of essence blood were being instantly devoured. He was shook. He realized this was EMO's lethal blow. If he stayed now, he would die for sure. The cultivator abandoned the flag, wrapped Shadowless with all of his cultivation essence and tried to dash away. This was the first time that Shadowless got covered with cultivation essence. If the cultivator had wanted to kick him out, he had other means to deal with it, but he also wasn't able to break free from the binding at that moment. The Golden Core State cultivator wanted to run away as far as possible, but he forgot about EMO's defense formation in his worry. Rumble, the Golden Core State cultivator ran into the formation and the formation shook. The Golden Core State cultivator forced himself to calm down. He had finally understood why EMO had such confidence. His cultivation essence wasn't that far from his and he had all sorts of means. The Golden Core State man knew that the most important step was to escape from this formation. He had never thought that a formation that he hadn't taken seriously would be a matter of life and death for him. this cultivator just took out his flying sword. He realized he wasn't able to attack the formation yet when he saw endless purple sword rays coming at him. This forced him to defend himself against the attacks instead of hacking open the formation. However, his cultivation essence had been letting Shadowless slip away as he had used it on running. However, now that he had to use even more to defend himself against Yemo's attacks, Shadowless instantly broke free and started to devour his Dantian. The cultivator's flying sword was thrown in the air, and it got devoured by Yemo's purple sword rays. In his eyes, there was endless regret. It was too late for him. The purple sword rays brought shower of blood, and the next moment, the cultivator started to sag and dry out. Yemo took away the flag and the storage ring. He could now breathe at ease. He didn't look into the ring yet. There also was a masked woman outside watching. The masked woman had seen countless explosions and then the shaking of the formation. She was just about to go and check when the formation suddenly disappeared. That Foundation Establishment State Level 8 cultivator appeared before her, but the Golden Core State Peak Stage Master was gone. The masked woman saw Yemo come out alone, putting away the formation flags. After a while, she asked hesitantly, "Did you kill him? You actually killed him." "Yes, I killed him." Yemo then looked at the woman. He had never seen her, but she seemed to have seen him. Yemo asked casually, "Do you know me? Have you seen me before?" The woman nodded. "Yes, I've seen you once and I know you're from the Zheng Yuan sword sect. You killed Li Bison outside the sect." Yemo was shook. He didn't know that there had been a masked woman watching on the side when killed Li Bison. If she had wanted to kill him at the time, it would have been rather easy. The woman realized what Yemo was thinking and said calmly, "If I had wanted to kill you at the time, I would have. But I didn't." "Who are you? How do you know Li Bison?" Yemo asked coldly. The woman's tone grew even calmer. "I know Li Bison because I'm also from the Zhang Yuan sword sect. As a member of that sect, what do you think I would do when facing the killer of a core disciple?" Yemo suddenly laughed. "That's old news. Other than Li Bison, I've also killed Ji Chongxing." Yemo waved his hand and Zisu appeared again. He said calmly, "If you want to fight, then hurry up." The masked woman was dazed, but she didn't have any intentions of fighting Yemo. After a long while, she murmured, "You could actually kill Li Chongxing?" "That's right. You just killed a Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator." "Did you know his surname is Li?" Yemo asked strangely. Theoretically, other than Li Yuyan and him, no one else knew that Ji Chongxing was actually Li Chongxing. The woman didn't reply, but she bowed to Yemo and said, "Thank you for killing Li Chongxing. I'm Fui Shuang. You've probably heard of me." Fui Shuang? Yemo had actually heard of this name. He studied her and asked hesitantly, "I've heard of this name. Aren't you the Qi Gathering State Hall of Fame's #1? How did you become a Golden Core State cultivator?" Fui Shuang smiled. "When I left the sect 2 years ago, I was already at Foundation Establishment State Level 7. I haven't been back for 2 years. When I reached Golden Core State Level 1, I wanted to follow Li Bison and kill him, but I saw your battle with him." Yemo realized that this Fui Shuang had also had an enmity with Li Bison, so she didn't dare to go back to the sect. Strictly speaking, that woman was his martial sister. But Yemo didn't have any good impression of the sword sect at all, much less of this martial sister. When he was fighting with Li Bison, he was on the lower hand, yet this woman didn't come out, which meant that his life was worth nothing to her. This woman clearly only cared about herself. Yemo immediately lost interest in continuing his talk with her. Seeing that Yemo wanted to leave, Fui Shuang suddenly said, "Since you killed Li Chongxing, you probably obtained the Illusion Cloud's 6 strikes, right?" "I know he had it." "What are you trying to say?" Yemo's tone went cold. He didn't really care about the Illusion Cloud's 6 strikes, but since this woman was asking about it, she might have some plans for it. Fui Shuang saw Yemo go alert and immediately said, "You don't need to worry. The reason why I care about it so much is because it belongs to my Fu family." Hearing this, Yemo understood why she had wanted to kill Li Bison. When he obtained those last 3 strikes of the Illusion Cloud 6 strikes, he knew that the Illusion Cloud didn't belong to the Li family. But it seemed the Fu family's illusion cloud wasn't complete either, so it probably didn't belong to them either. A few centuries ago, the Fu family got the illusion cloud, but we were slaughtered by the Li family. The only purpose the descendants of the Fu family have in mind is to get the illusion cloud back and to get revenge. Fu Yishuang's tone was calm as she explained. Emo didn't care, so he said, "You haven't been back to your sect for 2 years. There's a lot of things you probably don't know. It said that they were going to unite with Hidden Sword, and I also heard that the Ping Yao Li family was annihilated by the sect. Perhaps finding the illusion cloud 6 strikes is all there's left for you to worry about. As for the revenge, the sect already took care of it for you." Ha! Fu Yishuang was stunned and reacted only after a long while. "So there are some things that don't need to be done, huh?" Emo didn't speak as he just watched her. She soon reacted and looked fervently at Emo. "This means that if you give the illusion cloud to me, I don't need to keep living for the Fu family blood oath." Emo said plainly, "You're right, and I do have it indeed, but I'm not related to you, nor are we friends. Why should I give the illusion cloud to you?" Fu Yishuang was at a loss for words. She said hesitantly after a while, "But when you killed Li Baisan before, I didn't attack you during that time. The reason why you didn't attack was because you knew he didn't have the illusion cloud 6 strikes. Secondly, you felt threatened by me. If I can kill a false core state Li Baisan, I can heavily injure you too. You had just reached the golden core state, and you couldn't afford to sustain any injuries. Therefore, I don't owe you anything. Not to mention, when Li Baisan was about to kill me and I had no strength to retaliate, you probably wouldn't have come to help me if I hadn't taken care of it myself. You would have only used the chance to kill Li Baisan. You wouldn't care about my life or death. Am I wrong?" Fu Yishuang was speechless, and she didn't argue. That was the reality. Even if Emo was about to get killed, she wouldn't come out and help. Seeing this, Emo sneered. "So if we're talking about owing anyone anything, it is you who owe me. Even if I didn't help you kill Li Baisan on purpose, would you have been able to beat a golden core state peak stage like him in the end? If I hadn't appeared, you would have gotten heavily injured even if you hadn't died. And actually, I must say that if I hadn't come, you would have died for sure. I won't explain why in detail, but in this perspective, you owe me your life." Fu Yishuang looked down. She didn't believe what Emo said. But Emo had helped her indeed. Emo could tell she didn't believe him, but he didn't care. "You owe me, yet you want me to give you the illusion cloud for free. Don't you think that's ridiculous? If you think you can rob the illusion cloud from me, then give it a try." Emo could even kill someone at the golden core state peak stage. There was no way Fu Yishuang would fight him with her life right now. "In that case, I'll be leaving." Emo was about to release Zissou. "Wait!" Fu Yishuang stopped Emo. If Emo left, where would she go find the illusion cloud 6 strikes? Seeing Emo stop, Fu Yishuang pulled down her face veil and said, "I still have some looks. If you give the illusion cloud to me." Emo was dazed at her words. He really didn't care about the illusion cloud 6 strikes as he had the 9 strikes which he had improved based on it. The reason why he was being so tough was because Fu Yishuang having been in the Herb Valley for so long, she must have gotten some herbs. He wanted her to bring it up herself. The basic rule to business was that the other side would only give you the best offer if you didn't want to do the deal. But what Fu Yishuang was thinking was that the herbs she had might be precious, but they weren't nearly as precious as the illusion cloud 6 strikes. Besides, Emo must have obtained a lot of herbs too. If she couldn't get back the illusion cloud 6 strikes, the blood oath would block her from ever reaching immortal ascension. If it wasn't that Emo was too strong, she would really want to kill Emo and take it. She couldn't beat Emo, however, nor did she have any valuable items. She even owed him too. The only thing she had was her virgin body. Fu Yishuang's face was a little pale, perhaps due to always wearing a veil. But even so, Emo had to admit she was beautiful. Her eyes were very big, making Emo think of Yang Ro. However, she was prettier than her. Emo believed even Qiu Shui might not be as pretty as Fu Yishuang. But even then, Emo had no intentions for her. He sighed. He felt that it wasn't worth it for Fu Yishuang to go so far for the illusion cloud 6 strikes. Emo suddenly lost interest in taking her fortunes. This woman was living for the hatred of the Fu family and this illusion cloud. That was too tiring of a way to live in Yemo's eyes. Emo took out the illusion cloud's 6 strikes jade slip and gave it to her. The illusion cloud is in here, but it's incomplete. It's missing 3 strikes. Even if you cultivate it, it can only be a sword technique for before the hollow spirit state. After that, it will be lacking. Then he took out Zisu and dashed away. Although he pitied her, he didn't give the 9 strikes to her. If she had helped with killing Li Bison, he would, but instead she had just watched. It was already very generous of him to be giving her the illusion cloud's 6 strikes. Fu Shuang was dazed. She didn't think that when she took off her veil, Emo would give it to her for free. Why? Did he think she was ugly? Fu Shuang was rather confident about her looks. She didn't understand why Emo did what he did. She shook her head and stopped thinking about it. She checked the illusion cloud's 6 strikes jade slip, and it was the real deal indeed. Fu Shuang rejoiced. She had worked so hard and finally gotten the illusion cloud's 6 strikes back for the Fu family. Emo found a quiet place and set up a formation to check his loot. The ring was mostly filled with herbs, so he organized them and put into a separate ring. The slightly valuable herbs were sent to the Golden Page world. Large amounts of spirit stones, pills, and other magic spirit artifacts were stored together in piles. Other than the crocodile scissors and the flag, Emo was ready to sell the rest. As for ores, the most precious one was the vibrant sun true metal and a top-grade pilo of star sand. The Golden Core State Peak Stage Cultivator had 400,000 top-grade spirit stones. But what shocked Emo the most was that he had all sorts of spirit herbs that altogether counted more than his. However, he simply had less valuable ones. Emo wouldn't have had so many precious spirit herbs if he hadn't gone to that Mist Valley. When he saw more than 170 spirit crystals, Emo immediately understood why this guy was so rich. He must have robbed a lot of the cultivators in the Spirit Marrow Pond. When he opened more storage rings inside the Golden Core State Peak Stage Cultivator's ring, he found 1.5 million top-grade spirit stones, 2.6 million middle-grade spirit stones, and only less than 3 million low-grade spirit stones. Emo was sure that this guy had been the wealthiest man amongst the Golden Core State cultivators. He put these things away and went out looking for more herbs casually. He knew that the place was about to close. There were still a few days left, so Emo made a few level 2 formation discs, including a defense formation and 4 attack formation. Emo wanted to make higher level ones, but his resources were limited. Moreover, it was much harder to make formation discs than building the formation. He knew he wasn't really in danger in there, but he would be when he got out. All of those cultivators who had paid him a toll and that bitter-faced cultivator wanted to kill him. He wasn't concerned about that guy on his own, but feared what could happen if he had backup. A few thousand kilometers away from Emo, a bitter-faced cultivator had a bleak expression. Other than collecting herbs, he had a very important mission, and that was to kill Emo and take all of his belongings to Elderfong of the Immortal Treasure Tower. Elderfong believed that Emo had to have some secret to have been able to become #1 in the Pill Concoction Hall of Fame with such power. He had thought it was going to be a simple task, as he had planted large amounts of spirit sense marks on Emo. However, after going in, he hadn't been able to Emo and he had even lost his minion Hichong. This easy task remained unfinished and it made him very annoyed. He knew that if he didn't complete his mission, his value would greatly decrease in the eyes of Elderfong. His time was almost up. Indeed, time was up. White lights flashed over the cultivators as they were teleported out. As soon as Emo came out, he saw a large crowd of people squeezing outside the valley. There were even more stalls now, and each with a sign for collecting spirit herbs and materials. Emo didn't dare to use 9 transformations. He was more scared of the black and the white masters he had avoided. They were hollow spirit state cultivators. Emo was certainly not staying there after seeing how many people there were. But as soon as he tried to run, he was surrounded by a group of very fervent merchants. "I'm the worker at the All-Spirit Hall. I'm from the Herb Cauldron sect. We will pay a high price for your herbs." After Emo finally squeezed out, a beautiful woman appeared before him. "Emo, I knew those people couldn't do anything to you. Indeed, you didn't disappoint me. Emo looked at Lu Yuetang and the three martial sisters behind her, and he secretly stayed alert. He said calmly, I'm just making a profit from my hard work. If it hadn't been for me, you guys would have already died in that mist. But I'm sure you don't believe me. Emo had really helped these people. However, all of these guys wanted to kill him and rob his belongings. If Emo has known it was going to be like that from the start, he would have rather not make them pay the toll price. Lu Yuetang smiled, but she didn't answer Emo. Clearly, she thought that even if Emo hadn't repaired the formation, they could have still come out. Emo said expressionlessly, I have no spirit herbs. If you want to attack me, then hurry up or I'm going to leave. That Chi-Chi girl suddenly said, Martial Brother Yi, I believe you. Chi-Chi? Qin Mushin suddenly looked shockingly at Chi-Chi. They knew that she had the ability to tell if someone was lying or not. She could feel that Emo was actually telling the truth. Chi-Chi continued, Martial Brother Yi, you've mistaken my martial sister. No one is allowed to fight after the Herb Valley opens. They have to wait until going outside. My martial sister just wants to invite you to our sect. Although we won't do anything to you, other people might. Emo's spirit sense had already seen Ji Zuan, who was staring coldly at him. Although he hadn't come for him yet. If Emo left, Ji Zuan would chase him for sure. Emo scanned his spirit sense out again and found that bitter-faced cultivator. He wasn't looking at him at that moment, but Emo was sure that this guy was going to attack him. He had sensed the guy scan him with spirit sense more than once. Other than him, another cultivator was watching him. It was that Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator from the Godsword sect. Unexpectedly, while other people were just watching Emo, the Dual Heart sect's Zhiqiushui came up to Emo and saluted him with his fists. Brother Yi, hello? I knew I would be able to see you soon. If you have time, you must visit the Dual Heart Valley. I highly respect Brother Yi, and I'm also grateful to you for saving my life. You don't harbor enmity towards me? Emo looked strangely at Zhiqiushui. He had taken half of his herbs. Zhiqiushui laughed. I greatly admire Brother Ye's talent. Those mere herbs are nothing. Moreover, you've saved my life. Emo was sure that this guy was being genuine, so he nodded. Okay. If I have time, I will go to the Dual Heart Valley for sure. Seeing this, Lu Yuetang approached him again and smiled. Brother Yi, you're indeed quite significant. Zhiqiushui is a prideful person. You took his herbs, but he still thinks so highly of you. Seeing that Emo was getting impatient, Lu Yuetang smiled. Martial Brother Yi, our sect is genuinely inviting you over. If you leave now, that Ji Zuan won't let you go. But he doesn't dare to come to our sect. Even if you offend the Ghost Immortal sect, we won't fear them. Emo was considering whether he should go with them. After all, Ji Zuan was from a 5-star sect. He wasn't going to be the only one hunting him down. However, Lu Yuetang's words clearly implied that they were doing him a favor. They were willing to go against the Ghost Immortal sect for him. If he went, he had to admit this as this favor. Qin Mushin heard this and sighed. She knew Emo rather well. Her big martial sister hadn't even done anything for Emo, yet she was already planning to make him pay back. Emo could even reject her master. There was no way he would succumb to her. Indeed, Emo sneered. Thank you, big martial sister, for your goodwill, but I don't need to be protected by your bunch. Goodbye. Then Emo darted into the sky with Zisu. Emo didn't mean to look down on the women from her sect, but Lu Yuetang's intentions were too obvious. Lu Yuetang saw this and murmured, He really dares to leave? Ha! Guangwei suddenly screamed before pulling Lu Yuetang's hand and saying desperately, Big martial sister, go help him. Ji Zuan also left, and it's not just him. Those people will be hunting him for sure. Qin Mushin also looked expectantly at Lu Yuetang. Lu Yuetang sighed. Master and Co. are already here. Let's go see them. Guangwei and the girls turned around and saw that their master and the elders from the sect had come, and they immediately knew it wouldn't be plausible to go help Emo. As soon as Emo flew away, he could feel Ji Zuan follow him. Other than him, there were two more fellows with him that Ji Ziyuan had probably called to help. Ji Ziyuan was at the Golden Core State peak stage, and the other two were both Golden Core State tertiary stage cultivators. Even though Yemo had formation discs, he couldn't kill 3 Golden Core State tertiary attackers. His formation discs were only ordinary level 2 discs in the first place. If he had a level 4 formation disc, Yemo could easily kill all 3. Even if he had just a level 3 disc, he would be able to kill Ji Ziyuan. But the most important thing was the reality that Yemo didn't have time to set up a level 3 formation and that there were 3 of them. Feeling that Ji Ziyuan was getting closer and closer, Yemo knew he had to make up his mind. Yemo suddenly had a burst in speed. As Ji Ziyuan saw this, he sneered. No matter how fast Yemo was, there was no way a mere Golden Core State level 1 could get away from him. Yemo sped up, wanting to find a place to hide first. When Ji Ziyuan caught up, he would ambush them. As long as he could take out the 2 other guys, he was confident he could deal with Ji Ziyuan with his formation discs. But Yemo didn't expect that just when he accelerated, a powerful cultivation essence would appear and quickly fly close to him. Yemo's heart sunk. He knew there was no point in continuing to run, so he stopped. A man in his 50s appeared before Yemo. This man was at the Golden Core State peak stage and about to form his soul. He was no weaker than Ji Ziyuan and perhaps even a little stronger. "You're that pill concoction Hall of Fame number 1, Yemo?" The man didn't seem to have the intention to attack Yemo. Yemo nodded, while Ji Ziyuan and his 2 companions arrived as well. But when they saw there was another person, they didn't speak and just subtly surrounded Yemo and the man. In a brief moment, Ji Ziyuan seemed to have remembered who this man was. His face changed immediately, and he saluted with his fists. "So it's Elder Yen of the Immortal Treasure Tower. Why might be worth your time to come here, Elder Yen?" Yemo heard this and thought, could this be Yen Zheng's support in the Immortal Treasure Tower? Thinking about this, he saluted with his fists. "Chen Bei, do you perhaps know Yen Zheng?" He had to know the relationship involved. The man smiled. "Yes, I am Yen Jun. I've heard Zhenger talk about you, but I didn't expect you to be at the Golden Core State primary stage already. Zhenger has good eyes. We're both Golden Core State cultivators, so there's no need to call me Chen Bei. Just call me Elder Yen." Yemo rejoiced. Since this guy was related to Yen Zheng, he owed him. Yemo had received 1 chance for Kong Yi to concoct pills for him, and he gave it to Yen Zheng. Yen Zheng would definitely have given it to Yen Jun if that was the case. Then Yen Jun owed him a favor. "Yes, thank you, Elder Yen." Yemo saluted with his fists. With Yen Jun's help, he was confident about killing the 2 Golden Core State level 7 fellows first and then come help Yen Jun kill Ji Ziyuan. Ji Ziyuan's face, meanwhile, looked bad. Clearly, Yen Jun was there to help Yemo. Yen Jun then saluted with his fists to Ji Ziyuan. "Dao friend Ji, although I don't know what conflict you have with Yemo, please let it go on my account dash, ha ha ha." Ji Ziyuan laughed as his face went cold. "Elder Yen, this is the Ghost Immortal Sect's matter. I represent the Ghost Immortal Sect right now. Can you represent the Immortal Treasure Tower to fight with me?" Hearing this, Yen Jun's face looked bad. He could barely keep his status in the Immortal Treasure Tower. How could he represent them? Yen Jun knew it would be suicide to fight the Ghost Immortal Sect with his Golden Core State peak stage power. But Yemo had given him something so valuable, he couldn't not protect him at all. He thought about it for a while, and he realized that he couldn't intervene today. From Ji Ziyuan's killing intent he could tell that, even if Yemo apologized, Ji Ziyuan wouldn't let him go. Moreover, he knew from Yen Zheng that Yemo wasn't the type to apologize to Ji Ziyuan in the first place. In that instant, Yen Jun regretted coming. Seeing that Yen Jun's expression had turned sour, Yemo knew what he was thinking and spoke up. "Elder Yen, this has nothing to do with you. I don't think this Ji Ziyuan can do anything to me." Yen Jun said, "I only represent myself, but I stopped Yemo just now and let you guys catch up to him. Even if I don't help him, I can't stop him for you guys either. Now can I?" Unexpectedly, Ji Ziyuan smiled and replied, "Thank you, Elder Yen. I won't let Elder Yen be such a person. I'll give him 30 seconds to run. I think you only stalled him for about 10 seconds, right?" "Indeed." Yan Jun sighed in relief. He had been afraid that Ji Ziyuan wouldn't give him any face at all. He knew that 30 seconds was nothing, but at it still gave him some face. "Emo, I'm very embarrassed. This is all I can do to help you." "I'm sorry." Yan Jun turned around. Ji Ziyuan had a sneer on his face but didn't talk. Emo knew why Ji Ziyuan was sneering. It was because he had marked him with a spirit sense mark as soon as he got there. Emo didn't feel bad about Yan Jun, because he really didn't have the power to take on the Ghost Immortal sect. It was already quite nice that he had come out to help. He said to Yan Jun, "Thank you, Elder Yan, goodbye." Then he sped off on his sword. After Emo left, Yan Jun only waited for 20 seconds before he left without saying anything to Ji Ziyuan. Then, Ji Ziyuan left immediately too. Emo simply used 10 seconds to run and another 10 to set up a formation base. He wanted to make it better, but he already felt Ji Ziyuan chasing over. Emo was furious. This guy was full of lies. It hadn't even been 25 seconds yet. But Emo had no choice but face the situation at hand. He didn't stay in the unfinished formation base. He went a few hundred meters back and cut off the spirit sense mark before hiding himself. As soon as Emo hid himself, Ji Ziyuan arrived. He didn't even look at where Emo was and just shot his flying sword over. At the same time, Emo moved too, not towards Ji Ziyuan, but for the 2 golden core state level 7 cultivators behind him. The reason why Emo didn't make a sneak attack on Ji Ziyuan was because he knew that with Ji Ziyuan's golden core state peak stage power, he would at most be able to only injure him, and even that was only a possibility. But it was different if he attacked the other 2. Ji Ziyuan was attacking towards the spirit sense mark location, so he wouldn't be able to save the 2 golden core state level 7 cultivators in that instant. Secondly, those 2 were at most on par with Emo in terms of cultivation essence. So Emo should be able to successfully ambush them with a 90% certainty. Hence Emo immediately acted. As his sword produced purple sword rays, Ji Ziyuan was stunned. He didn't think that Emo would be able to find his spirit sense mark and use it to counterattack them. And he didn't have time to help. He didn't expect that Emo would be so powerful either, nor did he expect him to be capable of hiding there without him noticing at all. How powerful was his stealth technique? He didn't think a mere golden core state level 1 would be able to hide from his spirit sense. Splurge countless purple sword rays enveloped the 2 golden core state level 7 men from behind. Zisu sliced 1 golden core state cultivator in half through the waist, while the other one had purple sword rays pierced through his entire body. Just 1 strike and 1 person had died, while the other was heavily injured. As Ji Ziyuan saw the bloody scene, his eyes were about to bulge in fury. He roared, and his flying sword instantaneously flew towards Emo. Emo wasn't going to fight Ji Ziyuan head-on right now. He immediately retreated inside his formation and laid down a few formation discs. Ji Ziyuan saw Emo retreat and followed. He glanced at the level 2 formation discs Emo threw out, and his fury disappeared. He regained his composure and spoke coldly. "You sure have got balls. You think you can stop me with a few level 2 formation discs? Pity I have to tell you I was just going to kill you originally, but now you've truly angered me. I will kill every man in your Yi family, and as for the women, I will bring them to Broken Leaf City and comfort them nicely." Then he looked at Emo and gnarled. "As for you, I don't want to kill you anymore. I happen to know a way of burning living souls. I will burn you for 100 years before killing you." Emo's eyes went cold, and his killing intent rose drastically. He made up his mind that even if he had to die, he would kill Ji Ziyuan today. The more Emo's killing intent burned, the calmer he grew. He threw out a few more formation flags and spoke coldly. "Pity I have to tell you that you won't have that chance. I swear that if the Ghost Immortal sect dares to send more people after me, I will annihilate the sect." Ji Ziyuan actually got goosebumps from Emo's cold threat. He knew that Emo would be out to kill him already, but Emo's words still made him want to kill Emo faster. He knew that Emo's cultivation was only at golden core state level 1, but he wasn't any weaker than a golden core state level 7 fighter. Ji Ziyuan waved his hand, and the flying sword that had been circulating above his head returned to his hands. Immediately, his body turned cold. Emo stared at the flying sword and felt there was something wrong with it. He couldn't tell what grade it was. It seemed only 30 centimeters long at first, but sometimes it was more. When he stopped looking at it for a moment, he could even sense that it was as if Ji Ziyuan wasn't holding a flying sword but an invisible killing intent. This flying sword was also just too thin. It was so thin that it was almost invisible. But with Yi Mo's spirit sense, he could confirm that the flying sword really existed. Yet when he tried to investigate it more carefully with his spirit sense, he couldn't see it clearly anymore. There was a bone-chilling eeriness about it. The qi that Ji Ziyuan and his flying sword emitted made Yi Mo become very careful. He knew that Ji Ziyuan couldn't be cultivating an ordinary cultivation method. Ji Ziyuan didn't move, but Yi Mo felt that the air around him seemed to have gotten darker and heavier. It began to have a rotten feeling, as though it came straight from hell. What cultivation method was this? The ghost Immortal sect cultivation methods indeed had some ghost elements to them. Yi Mo thought for a moment before slashing out with Zisu, not wanting to wait anymore. Illusion Cloud Division Strike. Countless sword rays were instantaneously activated. And in that instant, in a 10-meter radius, Yi Mo's purple sword rays swept over every inch. Ji Ziyuan was enveloped inside the sword rays, and that bleak qi seemed to get melted away by the purple sword rays. After sending out the attack, Yi Mo didn't even bother checking Ji Ziyuan's situation, as he knew that it would be impossible to kill Ji Ziyuan with only this. So he took out tens of other formation flags and dumped them all around him. He had set up the formation base of a level 3 formation by then. He just needed to finish it, and he had to buy as much time as he could for that. Pack, 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 pack. Yi Mo's purple sword rays were already getting shattered and dissipated in the air. What sword technique is this? Right after he had such a thought, Yi Mo suddenly felt a bleak killing intent that almost made him suffocate. Yi Mo was shook. It seemed it was suicidal of him to try to lay a formation after just sending out one attack. Yi Mo immediately activated 4 defensive formation discs and 2 attacking formation discs of his. Thud thud thud. Yi Mo was still forced to take a few steps back, and those Ike's formation discs were instantly broken. Their only use had been saving Yi Mo's life. If not for them, that strike would have killed him already. Yi Mo didn't keep throwing out formation flags. He knew that if he couldn't build the level 3 formation today, he would lose for sure, yet he just didn't have the time to finish it. Ji Ziyuan's sword technique was too strong. It was especially powerful because of how Yi Mo couldn't grasp the trajectory of the strike. Ji Ziyuan was much stronger than the Golden Core State peak stage Yi Mo had killed in the Herb Valley. But suddenly, something even more shocking happened. He couldn't sense where Ji Ziyuan was anymore. Yi Mo felt cold sweat stream down his back as he spread his spirit sense out. However, Ji Ziyuan wasn't visible in his spirit sense either. This fellow was too strong. When he fought with him in the wooden house, he wasn't using his real power at all. Suddenly, Yi Mo felt a light breath and woke up, because he could sense a cold killing intent pierce his soul. Yi Mo shivered. He had gotten confused in the middle of a battle. This Ji Ziyuan was too powerful. He had somehow sent Yi Mo into a daze in the middle of their battle. The killing intent was imminent, so without any time to think, Yi Mo flew tens of meters backwards and almost ended up outside of his formation base. Yi Mo felt some pain below his ribs as a deep gash had appeared. So powerful. Yi Mo ate a few pills and closed his eyes. If his sixth sense hadn't sensed the killing intent, he would have been cut in half through the waist already. The only thing he could use right now was the powerful sixth sense he had from cultivating the 3-birth chant. Another soundless sword shadow passed by Yi Mo's chest. Even though Yi Mo was taking pills, his wounds weren't healing and instead started seeping some dark energy. Yi Mo grew calmer and calmer. It felt as if his formation was seeped with countless sword shadows. But when he closed his eyes, everything became clear. Yi Mo ignored his wounds and passed through the countless sword shadows. At the start, he was still getting cut, but after a while, he sustained less and less injuries. He could even sense Ji Ziyuan's position. Yi Mo was very calm. He had found a way to avoid the sword shadows, but now he still needed another method to kill Ji Ziyuan. Yi Mo stopped just trying to dodge the sword shadows and he started to use the time in between strikes to set up his formation flags. Ji Ziyuan was surprised that Yemo could dodge for so long while only sustaining a few injuries. Yemo threw out the last 3 flags and some extreme-grade spirit stones before yelling, "Seal!" Instantly, the defense formation was set up and countless white rays flashed in front of their eyes. The place Yemo and Ji Ziyuan battled was no longer in open air. He had set the formation there, so now the place belonged to him. Yemo scanned with his spirit sense and saw Ji Ziyuan was hiding amongst his sword shadows. He looked dazedly at Yemo's formation and murmured after a long while, "A level 3 peak formation?" Yemo's spirit sense moved and the countless sword shadows got swept away by the white light from Yemo's formation. Yemo let out a long breath. He had been passively getting hit before until he finished setting up his formation. This formation was his, and each formation flag had his spirit sense mark. Keep dreaming about using shadowless swords in this land. What Yemo didn't expect was that the formation he had set up was at almost peak stage since he had used extreme-grade spirit stones. Even though it was supposed to be level 3 primary stage. He took 2 more pills. Yemo still wasn't able to heal the wounds from before. This guy was too strong. He had seen quite a few Golden Core State peak stage cultivators, but in all honesty, he had never seen someone stronger than Ji Ziyuan. The guy definitely had a place in the Golden Core State Hall of Fame. "You're a formation master indeed." Ji Ziyuan appeared again. His thin sword still hovered above him. Yemo released Zisu that brought about countless purple sword rays, yet they were different from before. These purple sword rays gathered around Yemo. Eventually, more and more appeared, forming a sea of purple. Yemo also started sweating. He knew that his purple sword rays wouldn't be able to damage Ji Ziyuan now. However, since he had his formation set up, he would keep gathering it and attack Ji Ziyuan all at once. Then, with the help of the formation and shadowless, he didn't think this Ji Ziyuan could still survive. "Wait!" Unexpectedly, Ji Ziyuan suddenly told Yemo to stop. "Your formation is good, but I'm sure you won't be able to do anything to me in the end. If you open the formation, I will leave and we can end the conflict here. I'll even ignore the fact that you killed 2 of our sect's Golden Core State members. Even if I don't run away in the end, the Ghost Immortal sect will know you have done it and you will never be able to escape from us. Go die!" Yemo sneered and shot thousands of purple sword rays at Ji Ziyuan. At the same time, he activated the formation and sent out shadowless. Even if a 6, 7, 8 or even 9-star sect dared to threaten him, he would show no mercy, much less for a mere 5-star sect. Ji Ziyuan's expression changed. He hadn't thought Yemo didn't fear the Ghost Immortal sect at all, but he couldn't think that much for now. The thin sword above him also spewed out countless silver light rays. However, it was Yemo's formation and he was in control of every corner. Ji Ziyuan's sword shadows could no longer injure Yemo. The instant he activated them, Yemo's formation shot white barriers that stopped the sword shadows. Yemo breathed easy. He had really felt threatened by Ji Ziyuan's sword technique. It was invisible but still everywhere and dangerously powerful. Ji Ziyuan's sword shadows suddenly changed. They went from barely visible to pressuring and fast like lightning. It shook the formation so much that it seemed like it was about to explode at any time. Yemo was shook. He could tell that this sword technique was far from what Ji Ziyuan had showed him before. If he hadn't used extreme-grade spirit stones, the formation might have been broken already. Thinking about it, Yemo quickly swept down more purple sword rays, grabbed Zisu and hacked down. He couldn't allow Ji Ziyuan to keep using cultivation essence to attack his formation. Thud. Thud. Yemo's purple sword rays clashed onto a pot lid-like shield that Ji Ziyuan had set up. Ji Ziyuan was spitting out mouthfuls of blood, but the sword ray eventually stopped. The purple sword rays were strong, but they didn't seem to have much effect against the pot lid shield. Yemo didn't dare to hesitate. He had already activated the Illusion Cloud Exert Will Sword. In the past, he had activated countless sword rays with this move and controlled them with his will. However, this time, Yemo didn't control any of the sword rays. He just closed his eyes and hacked. He hacked the place he felt was the best. If someone else had seen this, they wouldn't have been able to understand. As Yemo was hitting the center of the shield, which was also the strongest part of the shield. However, the only difference was that Yi Mo's sword was slanted. Jizuan didn't understand either why Yi Mo was attacking like this. So he sneered. Yi Mo was either competing on cultivation essence with him or he had great faith in his kitchen knife. A mere golden core state level 1 cultivator dared to compete on cultivation essence with him when he was using a middle-grade spirit artifact. This was underestimating him too much. The next moment Zisu hacked the shield. Crack! The sound pierced Ji Ziyuan's eardrums. How could hear such noise? Imo Zisu had cut his shield like tofu and then pierced his chest. It had instantly found the weakest point in his spirit artifact and it had managed to break it by destroying its internal structure. Ji Ziyuan looked at his broken spirit artifact in disbelief. How was this possible? Any magic artifact had a weakest part. The better the magic artifact, the smaller the Achilles tendon. But for cultivators, that didn't matter because only they could tell the weakest part through spirit control. Other people wouldn't be able to know. Even if they did know, if the amount of cultivation essence they attacked the magic artifact with couldn't resonate with the magic artifact's internal structure, it wouldn't be able to hurt the magic artifact either. However, Yi Mo had found its weak spot, had managed to grasp the spirit artifact structure and broke it in half. Yi Mo used this opportunity to shoot the illusion cloud whirlpool strike and release Shadowless. The instant Ji Ziyuan's essence blood was being devoured by Shadowless, he saw Yi Mo's purple sword again. He was scared to the bone. Splurge! A blood mist erupted and Ji Ziyuan got surrounded by Yi Mo's illusion cloud whirlpool strike. After Shadowless devoured Ji Ziyuan's golden core, Yi Mo didn't let Shadowless keep devouring Ji Ziyuan's meridians. He summoned Shadowless back and put away his formation flags. He also placed the thin sword into his golden page world. Yi Mo rejoiced partly because he had defeated Ji Ziyuan, but mostly because he had found the feeling of controlling sword with will. Ji Ziyuan looked at Yi Mo with soulless eyes, murmuring something. Yi Mo then sneered to Ji Ziyuan. How does your flying sword's damage heal? Tell me and I'll give you a quick death. Or else, just like you said, I will burn your soul. Ji Ziyuan shivered. His eyes suddenly turned bleak again. Yi, you're finished. Even if you run through the entire North Far State, you won't escape the rage of the Ghost Immortal sect. Yi Mo slapped him in the face. Are you going to tell me or not? Keep dreaming. Ji Ziyuan sneered. He believed that even if Yi Mo killed him, he couldn't stop him from using his secret technique to escape in a soul state. He could still become a ghost cultivator. Time was very important for Yi Mo. He took out a 5-color flag and said, Since you won't tell me, you don't need to anymore. A 5-color soul-devouring flag? Ji Ziyuan's face changed drastically. Ji Ziyuan knew that no matter how strong his secret technique was, there was no way he could escape from the 5-colored soul-devouring flag. However, just when he was about to beg for mercy, the 5-colored flag had already swept down. After the 5 colors faded away, Ji Ziyuan no longer showed any signs of life. His soul had been taken away by the flag. Yi Mo admired how powerful the flag was. Yet, Yi Mo really didn't like that bleak, ghastly flag, but it was the best means for people like Ji Ziyuan. The reason Yi Mo didn't dare to waste time talking to Ji Ziyuan was because he knew he was already at a very dangerous position. He needed to go back immediately, return to River State and take everyone away. After taking Ji Ziyuan's ring, he found that one of the 2 golden core state cultivators was gone. It was the one he had heavily injured. In his desperation, Yi Mo couldn't care about anything anymore. He burned the 2 bodies and left the place as fast as he could on Zisu. On the way, Yi Mo forcefully suppressed his wounds with cultivation essence and didn't dare to linger at all. He didn't have time for recovery. He had to get back to River State as quickly as possible. If he had been by himself, he could have found a safe place to go into the Golden Page world and slowly recover. But it was too easy for the Ghost Immortal sect to find out where his base was. Hence, he had to get to River State before the Ghost Immortal sect put up a wanted order. About half an hour after Yi Mo left, 2 cultivators appeared where he had fought with Ji Ziyuan. Their faces were very bleak. One had a short figure, but the other one was very tall. If Yi Mo knew, He would have rejoiced to have left early because both of these cultivators were at nascent soul state. One was even at nascent soul state tertiary stage. It's here. Xuan was killed here and his soul was taken away. The tall nascent soul state cultivator said with a calm tone, but the fury was spurring out of his eyes. The short nascent soul state cultivator laughed like a crow. Such an evil guy. He has a magic artifact for taking alive souls. How dare he take souls from the ghost immortal sect? This person shouldn't be very far. Let me find his chi. Then the short nascent soul state cultivator took out a disc-like magic artifact. A while later, his frown had grown deeper and deeper. What's wrong? The tall cultivator asked. The short cultivator shook his head and said, There's marks of a formation here. This person used a formation to kill Ji Ziyuan and the others. Clearly, he's not at nascent soul state. But how can a mere golden core state cultivator's stealth cultivation method be this powerful? I can't find any useful information. After Yemo removed all of the evidence, he focused on running. He didn't even look at Ji Ziyuan's storage ring and just threw it into the golden page world. Yemo was going to fly to Broken Leaf City first and take the teleportation formation, yet Yemo didn't dare to go there first. He flew for a few days and arrived to Luoshan City. Then, Yemo took the teleportation formation from there to Sharp City. Although Yemo was many times faster than when he had first gone there, he still arrived at River State City 7 days later. If he hadn't wasted time getting out of the Herb Valley, he would have arrived at River State in less than 2 days. However, Yemo knew that if he went back to the Broken Leaf City, he might never be able to leave. Yemo changed his face and walked into the city, mixing with the crowd. The city was much less populated than before. Yemo scanned his spirit sense to China Pharmaceuticals immediately. When he saw that China Pharmaceuticals was in ruins, his limbs went cold. He could feel his body trembling. The bleak chi from his wounds broke free of his cultivation essence and made him shiver. The thing he worried for the most had happened. China Pharmaceuticals had been annihilated. What happened to Yiling, Song Yangzhu, and the others? Who had done this? The Ghost Immortal sect? The All-Pill Tower? But the high powers at River State for them were at nascent soul state. How could have they fought China Pharmaceuticals with Li Yuqian there? Yemo scanned the scene. He could tell there had been a big battle there. The place was surrounded with a formation. If someone went in there, it would activate the formation. Friend, are you okay? Yemo was wiping his sweat and someone asked. Yemo hadn't expected there to be such kind-hearted people in the cultivation realm. He shook his head and said, I'm fine. It's just some old wounds. Yemo was aware that his face was probably looking very pale at the moment. It would show it, despite him wearing 9 transformations. It was a chi-gathering state cultivator who was asking and he was about to leave. But Yemo stopped him and asked, Dao friend, I heard China Pharmaceuticals' pills are very good, so I came here just for them. How come I don't see China Pharmaceuticals? The cultivator looked around worriedly and then pulled Yemo to the side. Friend, you must not be from here. You must not mention China Pharmaceuticals. Why? Yemo was shaking. His hands were bleeding from his clench, but he still asked. I heard China Pharmaceuticals offended the All-Pill sect. They were relying on the Immortal Treasure Tower for support, but for some reason 2 months ago, they suddenly came to look for trouble with China Pharmaceuticals as well. At this time, the branch owner of the All-Pill Tower, Lu Juqing, reached nascent soul state. So he joined forces with the Immortal Treasure Tower to annihilate China Pharmaceuticals. Then what happened? Yemo's voice was shaky. The cultivator said quietly, however, China Pharmaceuticals had a nascent soul state cultivator and a golden core state cultivator that had somehow forcefully reached golden core state peak stage. There was a large battle and quite some people from the Immortal Treasure Tower and the All-Pill Tower died. Yemo asked desperately, did the people from China Pharmaceuticals get away? The cultivator shook his head. That I don't know, but China Pharmaceuticals lost a few people too. Suddenly, the cultivator realized that the person he was talking to was gone. He must have met some master. That guy was so worried about China Pharmaceuticals. Perhaps he belonged there too. Thinking about this, the cultivator quickly left. The first thing Emo did after leaving was getting to the teleportation formation he had set up. When he went into the valley, he saw that his stealth formation was perfectly running, and so was the teleportation formation. Had they not closed it? Emo charged into the teleportation formation. When he saw the activated teleportation formation, he finally breathed a little easier. It seemed they eventually had used it. Emo wasn't too worried now. The teleportation distance was more than 100,000 kilometers. Even a hollow spirit state cultivator wouldn't be able to scan that far with spirit sense. There was a jade card on the teleportation formation. Emo recognized it to be Song Yangzhu's handwriting. Husband, I'm fine. Yi Ling and Sister Zhen were injured. So was Master, but don't worry. Su Yu and Sheng Yizhong are fine. However, Sun Jizai and a few of China Pharmaceuticals people weren't able to come together. If it hadn't been for your teleportation formation, none of us would have been able to get away. We took all of your pills, don't worry. Master said we can't stay here for long. We went to Peihai City. Hurry up and come meet up with us. Yangzhu. Emo breathed easy. They had been injured, but it was fine as long as they were alive. It had been such a wise decision for him to leave behind this teleportation formation. Peihai City was a big city next to the Heartless Sea. Due to this, there were lots of cultivation resources. Many solo cultivators and sect members would go there for training and resources. However, there were a lot of dangers there too. Although Emo wanted to meet up with Song Yangzhu and company immediately, he didn't follow his impulses. His wounds weren't healed yet. He had to heal up first. Peihai City was out of North Far State. It was tens of millions of kilometers away from River State City. If he just went there without a plan, he wouldn't be able to get there fast, and he might even get hunted by the Ghost Immortal sect. He knew he had to calm down. Although China Pharmaceuticals' destruction had nothing to do with the Ghost Immortal sect, that was because they weren't there yet. If they had been the ones to come, Li Yuqian and the others wouldn't have been able to get away even if they had the teleportation formation. As for the Immortal Treasure Tower, he hadn't offended them. Instead, he had helped them out greatly. He really didn't understand why they were creating enmity with him. Still, he was sure that although the All-Pill Tower and Immortal Treasure Tower had attacked him, it mustn't have been the higher-ups' decision. People in the lower ranks were probably responsible. The most they could send were nascent soul-state cultivators. That explained why it had been so long already, and they still hadn't found the location of the flying sword. But the Ghost Immortal sect was different. They were a 5-star sect and would be able to find the location through the rubbles of the teleportation formation. They didn't know Chinese, but who knew if they wouldn't find someone who knew Chinese? There were so many people from the small world coming in here, it really wasn't hard to find someone who knew Chinese. Thinking about this, Emo was scared. He had to remind Song Yangzhu about this later. Luckily, he had arrived first. If the Ghost Immortal sect had come first, their whereabouts would have been exposed. Emo took out a map of North Far State and found Peihai City on it. This was the most southern place of North Far State. Emo then looked up the westernmost city of North Far State, Xiaxia City too. It was also near the Heartless Sea, and it was also a big city. Emo took out a jade card, copied Song Yangzhu's words, and wrote her message anew, but he changed the destination to Xiaxia City. Then he placed the card in the same spot he'd found Yamzu's jade card and set up a hidden surveillance formation. But after doing all that, Emo realized his plan wasn't good. If they found the teleportation formation, it would mean that they had a formation master with them. Setting this up would still give a master like that some clues. Thinking about this, Emo took out a camera. He had received it from Huang Mei when he was hunting the Northern Sand King. Emo put the camera in a corner, placed a surveillance formation next to the camera, and finally left the place. Emo was sure that no matter how good his opponents were, they wouldn't know about cameras. Nor would they search the camera with spirit sense. Emo left and didn't go very far. He found a valley and went into the earth before then entering the Golden Page world. He needed to recover. That was the most important thing. Then, he would have to go find secret lands in the All-Herb mountain ranges, and then he would go to Peihai City. Emo had been so focused on running before that only now that he actually looked at his wounds carefully did he realize how scary they were. Emo had been suppressing the wounds with his cultivation essence at first, but the bleak chi had already started invading his meridians. He didn't even know about it. If he had kept going to pay High City without stopping to recover, that bleak chi might have completely changed his body and turned him into an emotionless puppet. Realizing this, Emo just jumped into the spirit marrow pond as he held 2 spirit crystals to start his recovery. Inside the golden page world, Emo formed a hugged spirit chi whirlpool. As he kept devouring the spirit marrow, the bleak chi was gradually refined. Emo slowly got completely covered by mist, and then suddenly winter's arrival created a huge suction force, absorbing the white mist. Emo felt that winter's arrival became even colder after doing that, and he rejoiced immediately. Ever since acquiring the Mist Lotus Heart Fire, winter's arrival had been of little use. Emo didn't expect that winter's arrival would be able to devour other bleak chi. Emo estimated that it had taken him a few days, but he had finally completely eradicated the bleak chi. His power had also risen to the peak of Golden Core State Level 1 due to all the spirit chi he'd absorbed. Emo was about to break through, so he took out 2 more spirit crystals. Now that all the wounds were gone, all the spirit chi turned into his own cultivation essence. Crack. Emo fell. His cultivation essence burst again and start flowing all over his meridians and back to his dantian. Golden Core State Level 2. Emo was happy. He didn't expect to only use 2 months to break through and have such powerful cultivation essence at Golden Core State Level 2. Seeing that a small half of the spirit marrow pond was gone, though, Emo sighed. He broke through fast, but he also used huge amounts of resources. Even a 9-star sect wouldn't be able to supply his cultivation resources. Emo suspected that even after he used up all his spirit marrow and spirit crystals, he wouldn't be able to break through from Golden Core State Level 3 to Level 4 even in 100 years if he tried doing it by just absorbing ordinary spirit chi. But as Emo looked at the huge spirit range in the Golden Page world, he felt a little comfortable. He had an entire spirit range to himself. Power meant everything to him right now, so what he feared was slow progress. He needed power to go to the 9-star sects and find Luoying, Ning Qingxue and the others. He needed power to protect Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling. He had also offended 2 hollow spirit state masters, the Ghost Immortal sect, as well as the person from whom he took the spirit range. Emo didn't keep cultivating in the spirit marrow pond anymore. He instead moved to the spirit range and enforced the spirit gathering formation. According to Emo's plans, after he went to pay High City, he wouldn't be coming back anymore. He would take Song Yangzhu and the others to the South Peace State. Hence he wanted to go take a look at the all-herb mountain ranges before he left. Ever since getting that rusty sword, he had never gone there to see what was in that ancient ruin. Suddenly, 2 cultivators appeared in his surveillance formation. One tall, one short. Their matchup was quite funny. But Emo didn't find it funny at all, as both of them were nascent soul state cultivators. Emo wasn't sure if they were nascent soul state tertiary stage, but from the looks of it, they weren't weak for sure. Emo could tell they were from the Ghost Immortal sect from their outfits. So close, Emo murmured. The tall cultivator looked around and found the jade card. It seems that Emo hasn't been here yet. Should we keep waiting or go to Xianxia City? The short cultivator looked at the jade card and said, "No need to wait. He's just a Golden Core State Level 1 shrimp. He will need at least half a month to come here without a teleportation formation." Zhihong said he's a meticulous guy. He's very cunning and careful. He might not come here even if we wait here in the first place. Let's just directly go to Xianxia City. Leave the jade card as it is. The tall cultivator clapped. Good idea. We can just wait for him there. If he doesn't come, we'll capture that Yangzhu, and then he'll come for sure. Emo watched the 2 leave and waited another day before carefully packing his things. He then took that jade card and finally left. He could rest easy at last. Having directed the Ghost Immortal sect fellows to Xianxia City, Li Yuqian and company lost a big enemy. Emo really wanted to go to Pei High City now, but he knew he had to increase his power at all costs. Although he was at Golden Core State Level 2 and he wouldn't fear even a Golden Core State Level 8 in battle, he had too many enemies, and every single one of them was much stronger than him. So, he chose to go to the all-herb mountain ranges. The all-herb mountain ranges were boundless. They formed one of the 10 big mountain ranges of the North Far State. This had always been a trial ground for low-level members of sections. Yemo obtained the Rainbow Golden Lotus there in he passed and had reached the Foundation establishment state there. This was also the place he killed Li Balan. Without the flying pike, it was very inconvenient for Yemo. Although Zissou was also very fast, Yemo felt the flying pike saved a lot of time and effort. He had made up his mind to buy a good flying magic artifact after getting to a big city. Many days later, Yemo was back in the all-herb mountain ranges. Although there had always been a lot of low-level sect members there doing trials, most of the area remained unsearched. The map Yemo had gotten was of the depths of the all-herb mountain ranges. After getting there, Yemo used 3 days while avoiding many level 5 beasts to get to the spot that was marked on the map. Yemo believed that he currently didn't have to fear ordinary level 5 beasts, but if they fought, it would cause too much commotion. The spirit chi there was dense, but Yemo thought that since it was a ruin he was looking for, the spirit chi around it should be even denser. Yet when Yemo got to the place on the map, it was as if he were in the wilderness. There was nothing but naked rocks and peaks. The entrance should be at the edge of a huge stalagmite according to the map. Yemo was just about to check it when he felt cultivation essence waves appear in his spirit sense area. Someone was there? Yemo immediately noticed 4 cultivators, and all of them were more powerful than him. Without hesitation, Yemo hid himself. The 4 were all at the golden core state, so they were soon there. They also seemed to be looking for something. There were 3 men and 1 woman. The woman looked young but cold. She was very pretty, and her long hair was curled to the top. She was at least at golden core state level 7. Out of the 2 men in front of her, one was very handsome. Yemo was shocked to see that he actually knew the man. He was the city lord of River State City, Zhang Chengfeng. Yemo despised this hypocrite who took his pill yet did nothing for him. When Yemo first saw him, he was at golden core state level 6, but now he was at golden core state level 7. The frontmost man looked innocent and genuine. He was at golden core state level 8, but Yemo couldn't see anything special about him. Yemo could feel his arrogance, though. Clearly, he was the leader in his eyes. Yet Yemo had the strange feeling that this man wasn't as dangerous as the old man at the end. That old man had a slouched back and was also at golden core state level 8, but Yemo felt he was the scariest. They were all golden core state tertiary stage cultivators. No one was at the golden core state peak stage or middle stage. Just when Yemo was confused about why they were there, Zhang Chengfeng asked, "Brother Fei, we've been searching for 5 days, and we've pretty much looked through the whole area. Did you maybe remember wrongly?" The honest-looking man replied calmly, "I didn't remember wrongly. I found out about this unintentionally. The fellow that was acting against me ran from the market and killed a Foundation establishment state cultivator called Gu Yuhua. He robbed from him a 9-crevice sword and the map of an ancient ruin. The map was of the all-herb ranges, but that young man just isn't here yet. But we've been looking for so long. Would the person you got the information from have remembered poorly?" The cold-looking woman suddenly asked. "No, he's Gu Yuhua's brother, and he's only at the chi-gathering state. I searched his soul, so I'm sure he didn't lie," the man called Fei said. Yemo had already realized who this Fei was. He was the person who tried to fight over the stone stool with him at Nanshan Market. Hidden sword sex Fei Zijiang. Yemo was surprised to see that he looked like an innocent guy. One really can't judge a book by its cover. Since it was Fei Zijiang, Yemo knew why he could find out about him having taken the map and key. Luckily Yemo had put on 9 transformations. Otherwise, he would have been caught by him. Hearing this, no one else said anything, and they just kept looking. If it wasn't for this Fei Zijiang, it would be fine if these people left, but Yemo really wanted to kill Fei Zijiang. Just when Yemo was hesitating, the old man suddenly looked at the big stalagmite and said, "There's a hidden formation under there. Let me open it and see." They had found the place, but Yemo wasn't worried. The 4 might have found the place but clearly didn't have the key. "Haha! There's a hidden formation here indeed. It seems Brother Luo found the right person. Who else would set a formation here?" Zhang Chengfeng laughed as he hacked out with his sword. Immediately the hidden formation disappeared, and a stone door was revealed. A space formation portal, the old man yelled in excitement. It really is a space formation portal. We're rich, ha ha ha. Fei Zijiang laughed in a hysteric way which really mismatched his innocent-looking face. Even the woman and Zhang Chengfeng were excited. What do we do now? Zhang Chengfeng was the first to calm down. Fei Zijiang stopped his hysterical laughter too and said, Brother Luo, set up a hidden formation outside the space formation portal, and let's go in first. The old man nodded and started throwing out formation flags. 15 minutes later, a new hidden formation was set up, and the four of them as well as the door disappeared from Yimo's sight. When Yimo was sure they should be thoroughly inside, he got up. A space formation portal was very hard to set up, so why was it covered by such a simple hiding formation? There were a lot of dubious points about it, but Yimo didn't want to waste time. The old man's formation was barely level 3, so it was not bad, but it was far from enough to stop Yimo. Yimo went inside and took out some formation flags of his own, setting a trap formation outside the hidden formation before going in. After going into the space formation, a long set of stairs appeared before Yimo. Yimo carefully sent his spirit sense down, but he found that the four people before him had disappeared. Clearly, something inside was blocking his spirit sense. Yimo walked for about 1 kilometer down the stairs and his spirit sense scanned those 4 cultivators again. They had stopped at a spacious hall in the shape of a hexagon. There were illumination formations all around the hall. Although it had been many years, these illumination formations could still consume spirit chi. Yimo suddenly realized why there was a lack of spirit chi there. There were so many formations there, and all of them devoured spirit chi from nearby. After countless years, of course there would be a lack of spirit chi. The reason the group had stopped in this huge hall was because there was nothing else here except a huge sword-shaped rink in the center of the hall. Yimo looked at it and realized that the shape matched his sword. It seemed those 2 foundation establishment state cultivators were right. The big sword he had gotten was the key. No door, nor any place to go. What do we do? Zhang Chengfeng looked at the empty hall and asked. Fei Zijiang glanced around and said, That guy took the 9-chipped sword and that's the key. Although we found this place, we can't go in without the key. Zhang Chengfeng suddenly took out a flying sword and attacked the wall. There was just a low thud. But Zhang Chengfeng's flying sword didn't do any damage to the wall. There wasn't even a spark. There's no way you can force your way into there. Even a nascent soul state cultivator wouldn't be able to do that probably, the old man Luo said. Fei Zijiang's innocent-looking face spasmed. He really couldn't accept not being able to go into a treasure mountain. He was burning with anger. Brother Luo, didn't you say you could enter through the formation? Do you have news of the cultivator who stole the sword? The cold-looking woman shadowlessly asked. Fei Zijiang shook his head. No, after I found out about this ruin, I found Dao friend Luo and then I told you guys. This formation needs 4 golden core state cultivators to form it. Brother Luo, regardless of the situation, let's do what we planned before and set up a formation. The woman shook her head and said, I don't think ordinary formations will have any effect on this hall. Brother Luo can set up a level 3 formation at most. I don't think it's possible to shake this hall at all without a level 4 or above formation. Even though, since we're here, we need to try. If it doesn't work out, then we'll investigate the whereabouts of that kid. Zhang Chengfeng intervened. Fei Zijiang suddenly regretted it now. He should have found that cultivator first and come here himself. If in the end that old man Luo couldn't break the formation, then he would be losing too much. Not only would he not be getting anything, but also would he be exposing an ancient ruin. The old man nodded at Zhang Chengfeng's words. He took out formation flags, which he set up around the sword-shaped rink. Yimo could tell that the old man was setting up a 4-division position-breaking formation. This formation could use the power of 4 golden core state cultivators to blast this hall. However, when Yimo saw the old man set up another hidden blood sacrifice formation on the outside of the formation, he immediately realized this old man had ill intentions. Indeed, the old man said, the 4 divisions position breaking formation needs essence blood as a lead. We'll prepare a drop of essence blood each and drop it into the heart of the formation. Emo sneered. The blood sacrifice formation needed essence blood as a lead. Once the cultivator dropped his essence blood, the formation could suck the essence blood of the cultivator to supply itself with energy. Then, the old man dropped a drop of his essence blood on the formation's heart. Seeing this, the other three didn't think much and they all did the same. When he saw they followed his words, there was a sliver of joy at the corner of the old man's eyes. Yet it soon disappeared. Okay. Let's stand on one corner of the formation each. Then the old man took the Zhen position. Zhang Chengfeng was the closest to the Zheng position, but he could only stand on the Ken position. The woman took the Dui position without hesitation. Fei Zijiang could only stand on the Li position. The Li was closest to the wall of the hall. However, Fei Zijiang felt strange, as though something was wrong, but he couldn't tell exactly what it was. Just when he was still thinking, the old man said, I'm going to activate the formation. Insert your cultivation essence into the formation, don't stop. The more cultivation essence, the stronger the formation. Then, the old man threw a formation flag and started to insert cultivation essence. The formation emitted a faint yellow light. The remaining three realized that the formation had been activated, so they started to insert their cultivation essence too. Thud, the formation started to inflate like a balloon. Rumble, the formation got activated. A powerful explosive energy charged out of the formation into the sword-shaped rink. The hall started to shake. Was the formation actually useful? However, Emo immediately understood that the ancient ruin had been here for countless years and many of the defense formations had started to loosen up. The old man kept throwing formation flags as blasts of explosive energy charged at the wall. Fei Zijiang was the closest to the energy blasts and his clothes were already messy. If it went on, he was going to get heavily injured or even killed. He quickly said, Brother Luo, stop. I can't stand here anymore. I need some rest. The old man smiled. Dao friend Fei, don't worry. It will be fine soon. Just hold on a little longer. The impacts on the woman and Zhang Qingfeng's positions weren't as big as Fei Zijiang's, but there were still some. Rumble, a huge energy blow shook Fei Zijiang as he spat blood. Luo Yuping, what did you do? Why does this formation keep draining my cultivation essence? Why can't I stop? Fei Zijiang finally realized something was wrong. The old man acted as though he hadn't heard this and he just kept throwing formation flags inside. Luo Yuping, this bastard wants to have the ruin all to himself. Fei Zijiang shrieked. Needless to say, the woman and Zhang Chengfeng had already realized this. They had both fallen into Luo Yuping's trap. Zhang Chengfeng called out, Luo, are you trying to take up on us three at the same time? Hurry up and stop, or don't blame me for the consequences. The woman didn't speak, as though she was trying to activate something. Emo sneered. These people didn't understand the power of a blood sacrifice formation. Devouring their cultivation essence was just the beginning. After a certain stage, the formation would devour their essence blood. But Emo had no intentions of doing anything. Even if they didn't need to use the key and Luo Yuping broke in with the formation, he wasn't worried. Rumble, rumble, more explosions sounded. Emo could feel the ground beneath him starting to shake. The old man's face was full of worry and concentration. Fei Zijiang spat mouthfuls of blood and shouted, Luo Yuping, you treacherous bastard. The hidden sword sect won't let you go. Arg! He suddenly howled. Luo Yuping, you dare suck my essence blood. Zhang Chengfeng and the woman's faces also went pale. They were feeling the same. The woman suddenly took out a rune and spat blood at it. Luo Yuping saw this and his expression changed drastically. He quickly threw many formation flags. Yet, the rune had turned into a huge whirlpool and it swept the woman away. A level 8 space mobility rune. The rune was worth a fortune. Emo hadn't expected that a golden core state cultivator would have this sort of rune. Clearly, she was no simple character. With her escape, the place would soon be no secret. Emo had to quickly search this place and leave. After the woman escaped, Luo Yuping spat a mouthful of blood. Zhang Chengfeng also ran out from the formation too. But he didn't have the power to fight with Luo Yuping. Fei Zijiang was paralyzed on the ground without the energy to resist. Luo Yuping looked at the unopened rink with a sliver of annoyance. He took out a huge sword and walked to Zhang Chengfeng. Zhang Chengfeng saw this. His face was full of fear. He said shakily, "Brother Luo, don't do this. I'm willing to go, let it go. Please take whatever you want from my storage ring." Luo Yuping shook his head. "You idiot! If you hadn't held back your strength at the beginning, I would have broken this wall already. Leaving a trash like you behind is a disaster anyway. Die! Don't! Zhou Yushuang already got away. If you kill me, the Zhang family will know for sure." Zhang Chengfeng begged. "Who is it?" Luo Yuping ignored Zhang Chengfeng and looked at Emo, who had walked out of the shadows. When he saw that Emo was only at Golden Core State Level 2, his face was full of surprise. He couldn't help saying, "You're a mere Golden Core State Level 2 cultivator? How did you avoid my spirit sense?" Luo Yuping noticed that the cultivator who had appeared was only at Golden Core State Level 2, but he didn't seem worried at all. He didn't dare to go up and attack. Emo was capable of avoiding all of their spirit senses and follow them there. This meant that he was no ordinary cultivator. Moreover, he had used up a lot of cultivation essence too. Before Emo could talk, Zhang Chengfeng called out in joy, "Brother Yi, I didn't think you would be here too. You even reached Golden Core State. Brother Yi, I'm Zhang Chengfeng. Please save me." Emo glanced at Zhang Chengfeng and said plainly, "So it's City Lord Zhang. What a coincidence." Yes, Brother Yi, we're both from River State City. Please save me." Zhang Chengfeng showed a fawning smile and said desperately. He had lost too much essence blood. He wasn't even as strong as a chi-gathering peak stage cultivator at that moment. Luo Yoping's eyes spun and said, "So it's Dao Friend Yi. If Dao Friend Yi is Brother Zhang's friend, I will let him go. Yes. I'm friends with Emo, very good friends. When Brother Yi opened a shop in River State, I went there." Zhang Chengfeng called out in desperation. Emo shook his head. "What a waste of good looks. Your face is too thick. I had just opened my shop then, and you took a face-preserving pill from me for nothing. I should be thankful that you didn't attack me. I couldn't even ask for you to pay me back, right? Later on, when Sister Li was forming her nascent soul, you didn't even want to lend me some spirit stones. Eventually, when people annihilated my China pharmaceuticals, how is it that I didn't see you come to help? City Lord Zhang, I really want to help you, but I really can't find a reason to." Zhang Chengfeng heard this and his face went pale. Suddenly, he cursed, "Yi, even if I die, the River State Zhang family won't let you go. They will kill you and annihilate your entire family." Emo shook his head. This Zhang Chengfeng wasn't threatening Luo Yuping, who was about to kill him, but he put the hate on him instead. What logic was this? Moreover, how could he be scared of the River State's small Zhang family? "You're noisy." Luo Yoping's huge sword hacked down and Zhang Chengfeng was decapitated. Emo grabbed the storage ring telepathically. Luo Yuping saw that even though he had killed the person, this Golden Core State Level 2 cultivator dared to take the loot. His expression looked bad. He didn't attack Emo nor say anything. He looked at Fei Zijiang again. Fei Zijiang saw that Zhang Chengfeng was dead and his heart turned ice cold. There was nothing he could do now. He looked at Emo, "Brother Yi. I'm the hidden sword sex Fei Zijiang. If you save me, I will pay you back with my life." Emo sneered. "There's really a lot of familiar faces here. To be honest, I wanted to go find you later, but you came to me instead. I was interested in a stone stool in the Nanshan market, but it was bought by the wealthy and snobbish Mr. Fei. I was threatened as well, otherwise, how could I have known it was you? Fei Zijiang. Mr. Fei. It's you." Fei Zijiang pointed at Emo and his hands started to shake. After a moment, he suddenly said, "The key is on you." Emo took out a rusty-looking sword and said, "You're right, but there's no reward. By the way, let me borrow your storage ring." Emo waved his hand and Fei Zijiang's finger fell off. along with his storage ring. However, Yemo threw it inside his golden page world without looking. Fate Zijiang looked dazedly at this comical scene and said after a while in joy, "So you're the person with the key. That means we can go into the ancient ruin now." Then, Luo Yuping sliced off Fei Zijiang's head with a shake of his sword, as though he had done something insignificant. But Yemo looked calmly at Luo Yuping and said, "You're wrong. I can go into the ruins, not us." Luo Yuping was dazed. He then looked at Yemo with cold eyes. "You want to fight me? You're a mere golden core state level 2. Even though I've used some cultivation essence, it won't be a lot of trouble killing a golden core state level 2 cultivator." Then Luo Yuping took out formation flags and started throwing them. He was careful in nature. Even though he was sure he could kill Yemo, he was still going to make preparations. He was laying out a trap formation. However, Yemo just stood on the side watching him, as though he didn't know what he was doing. Yemo was sneering inside. This was his usual method, and it was amusing to see Luo Yuping using it now. Luo Yuping rejoiced as he kept throwing formation flags and said, "Brother Yi, if we work together on this ancient ruin, it'll be much better than doing it alone. If you agree, I will let you choose 3 items first." Yemo sneered. Luo Yuping was mean-hearted. If he hadn't used up half of his cultivation essence, he would have already attacked him. Although Yemo was sure he could kill Luo Yuping, he wasn't sure he wouldn't get injured. Who knew if this guy had some killing blow like Jizion did? 10 minutes later, Luo Yuping's face looked joyful. He took out the controlling formation flag and threw it. "Punk, you're too immature to fight me. Thanks for bringing the key." Yet before his formation flag could land on the formation, it was grabbed by Yemo. Just when he got curious about how Yemo had managed to go into his formation so easily, he saw Yemo take out a few formation flags too and throw them in the formation. Instantly, his trap formation turned into a reverser trap formation. Luo Yuping had understood now. This golden core state level 2 cultivator's formation skills were far better than his. How could this be? He looked so young. How could he have such formation mastery? He had been studying formations for more than 2 centuries and he was only at level 3. However, this guy, with simply throwing a few formation flags, had turned his formation against him and trapped him instead. Clearly, he was a level 4 or maybe even level 5 formation master. Luo Yuping soon woke up. Now he had realized why Yemo hadn't done anything while he had been laying down the formation flags. He had tried to trap a formation master with a trap formation. Luo Yuping's face turned pale. "Let me go. I'm willing to give you everything," Luo Yuping said. However, he released his huge sword at the same time and took out a dark and yellow umbrella-like magic artifact. Yemo ignored Luo Yuping's plea for mercy. As he threw his formation flags, he activated the formation. A yellow light ray stopped the umbrella. Luo Yuping knew it was pointless to beg now. He charged with his sword at Yemo's formation. The sword almost broke the formation's yellow light ray. Yemo was shook. Luo Yuping was good at formations indeed. He had used half of his power, yet his strike had been more powerful than the strike of the Golden Core State Peak Stage Cultivator at the Herb Plane. If he attacked the formation a few more times, it would break. Although it was due to the fact that Luo Yuping had set up the formation and Yemo was only using it, it still showed his mastery in formations. Without hesitation, Yemo released Zisu. The Illusion Cloud Division Strike brought a cascade of purple sword rays towards Luo Yuping. Luo Yuping was also worried, but not as worried as before, because he realized that this formation was as strong as he thought it would be. He was very shocked that Yemo took control of his formation so quickly. He thought he was dead for sure, but he didn't expect that he would be able to see through a gap of the formation after his strike. With time, he would be able to break this formation. Once he broke free, he wouldn't need to worry. This cultivator was only Golden Core State Level 2 after all. He was Golden Core State Tertiary Stage. Even though he had used up half of his cultivation essence, it was still enough to take on a Golden Core State Level 2. When that cascade of ever-increasing purple sword rays swept over, however, he finally realized that Yemo's sword technique was also extraordinary. This made him worry again, while he used his yellow umbrella to stop the purple sword rays. But when the purple sword rays clashed with his umbrella, he realized just how wrong he was. He had used half of his cultivation essence, but even if he hadn't, he might not be a match for the golden core state level 2 opponent he was facing. Before he could speak, the purple sword rays completely overwhelmed the radiance of the umbrella with the help of the trap formation. Rip Luo Yoping's umbrella was torn apart and became tattered. Meanwhile, he was sent flying by the purple sword rays, crashing into the trap formation. He spat many mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground, looking at Emo in shock. He even forgot to beg for mercy. Never had he in all his years seen a golden core state level 2 cultivator as powerful as Emo. Even though he wasn't in his prime, it was too absurd for a golden core state level 2 cultivator to break his umbrella shield in one strike. Emo hacked out with Zissou again. Prior to his death, Luo Yuping would have never believed that he would die this simply. After taking Luo Yoping's storage ring, Emo burned the bodies before studying this hall again. This hall was very spacious, and there was nothing inside. Other than the wall made of unknown materials, there was just that door to enter the place. Emo turned around and wanted to set a trap formation at the entrance. It would alert him when someone came in. He believed it was necessary to be careful at all times. But when Emo turned around, he was dazed. The door which he came in through was gone, and there were just 6 walls now. He couldn't tell which direction he had come from anymore, and what shook Emo was that the wall with the rink also seemed to have changed. What was going on? Emo was flustered. He had been in there the whole time, and if something changed, he should have noticed right away. But the rink had really changed from the Li position to the Can position. Emo calmed down. Regardless of whether the door was still there, it was very eerie that the rink changed positions. He closed his eyes and felt around with his spirit sense. The entrance disappeared, probably because some mechanism had activated. Perhaps the whole place was spinning. But Emo was disappointed to find that the hall didn't have any signs of spinning. Emo frowned. He suddenly didn't really like this place. It seemed too eerie, so without hesitation, he took out the sword and walked to the rink. He had no exit, it was impossible to break the walls, and he wanted to get the fortune here and leave as soon as possible. When Emo was about to put the sword into the rink, he suddenly felt uncomfortable. This feeling was very strange. Emo trusted his sixth sense very much. Was there some hidden danger there? Emo hesitated, and he suddenly subconsciously wanted to take the sword away. However, before he could, a suction force came from the rink, and it targeted the key sword. The sword flew out of his hand and slid tightly into the rink. Emo was shook. He immediately wanted to retreat but found that now, the entire hall did start to spin. It spun faster and faster. If this kept going on, Emo could imagine he would be spun to pieces by the centrifugal force. Emo realized at this point that this was no simple ruin. Ruins were for people to find and excavate, not to be killed by them. Wait, Emo suddenly realized that this place resembled a formation. What formation was shaped like this and didn't use formation flags? A seal? Emo suddenly realized. This place was a seal. When he came in, the hall didn't spin. This wasn't a hexagonal hall. If you included up and down, this was an octagonal hall. So if this was a seal, then what was it sealing? Emo didn't keep thinking, as no matter what was sealed there, it would be no good for him to release the seal. Since this was a seal, Emo also realized that the sword was the key to unlock the seal. Realizing this, Emo cursed. He immediately focused on resisting the dizziness and charged to the rink, grabbing the sword. The seal hadn't been completely unlocked yet, so he just had to take the key away. But when Emo used his cultivation essence to pull it out, he found that the sword was stuck there and wasn't budging at all. Emo seemed to hear a sneer, as though someone was mocking him for his feeble attempt. Emo started to sweat. He used all his cultivation essence, but the sword still wasn't moving at all. Without hesitation, he took out that burst-in pill he had. He hadn't even used it against Ji Ziyuan, but he had to use it now. He threw it onto the rink and at the same time went into the golden page world. Rumble, a huge explosion sounded, and the entire hall shook. The explosive power was stronger than the formation Luo Yuping and company used. It was akin to the strike of a nascent soul state primary stage expert strike. The hall seemed to have paused for just a moment before it began to spin again. Before the explosion ended, Emo came out from the golden page world. The violent concussion hadn't disappeared as it tore Yemo's clothes apart, but he didn't care at all. He only had one burst-in pill. He couldn't come out after the effects were over. After Emo came out, the first thing he did was to spit out essence blood. He started to burn his essence blood and then reached his hand into the rink and grabbed the sword, pulling it with all of his cultivation essence. The key loosened under the effects of the burst-in pill, and after this grab, it was actually pulled out. The powerful suction force came again. Emo held onto the sword tightly and immediately sent it into the golden page world. He knew that even if he put it in his storage ring, it might still be summoned out. Finally, the hall shook and started to slow down until it stopped completely. Emo let out a sigh of relief and slumped to the ground, feeling powerless. Just when Emo sat down, he felt a very angry chi fill the hall. "Kid, where did you put the key to the ruin? Hurry up and take it out." Emo heard an even angrier voice. The voice was like the sound of screeching metals. Emo breathed easier after hearing this. This place was indeed a seal. Emo couldn't see where the guy was nor his power, but he could feel his anger and how he was just an insignificant insect to this person. The reason he breathed easy was that he was sure the person hadn't been released yet. If he had been, then he would have been dead by now. Emo took an life essence pill and got up. "Since this is a ruin, how come I don't see anything here? Aren't ruins usually supposed to have a lot of treasures? Why do I just see an empty hall?" The voice sneered. "Insolent brat. If you put the key back into the rink, the ruin will open and you will see the treasure. You haven't even opened the ruin yet. How can you see any treasure?" Emo sneered. This place was clearly a seal, but this guy was trying to convince him that it was an ancient ruin. However, Emo didn't need to say that. What he needed now the most was an exit, not to make the guy speechless through arguments. "As long as I don't see the treasure, I won't believe this place is a ruin," Emo said and got up, wandering around the hexagon hall. The voice realized that Emo wasn't taking him seriously and fell silent for a while. He was no longer as angry as before and said, "What treasure do you want?" His tone was still a bit sharp. Emo heard this and thought, who knows who had released the key and had tricked him to come here to almost open the seal and lose this life. Yet, from this guy's tone, perhaps he could get something out of him. Thinking about this, Emo said, "If only there was a way to increase cultivation speed. Alright, it'd be great if there was a escape cultivation method. If I can't beat my enemy, I can run away at any time." The voice sneered. "These things are littered like trash in the ruin. As long as you open it, you will have anything you want." Emo couldn't be bothered answering. He just kept looking for a way out in the hall. A while later, Emo heard a clap. Two things fell into a corner of the hall. Emo grabbed them telepathically and looked. It was a 5-element mobility cultivation method. It was at heaven grade level 5. Emo also opened the bottle of pills, which emitted a pleasant aroma. Clearly, it was some kind of very high-level pill. Emo couldn't even recognize what kind of pill it was. Then, Emo heard that voice again. "This is a heaven grade 5-element mobility method, but this is rather ordinary inside the ruin. The pill is called the Heaven Ascension pill. It can help you reach a level higher. The bottle is enough for you to reach Golden Core State peak stage in half a year." Emo was amazed. He hadn't expected there would be such powerful pills here. Even if he took the Blue Wind pill and sat in the Spirit Marrow Pond every day, he wouldn't be able to reach Golden Core State peak stage in half a year. The Heaven Ascension pill was truly powerful. Emo didn't doubt the effects of the pill, but that didn't mean he would take this pill. Even if he was going to use this type of pill, it would be after he made it himself. Who knew if there was something dodgy with the pills this guy had given him? However, Emo liked the 5-element mobility cultivation method greatly. Emo put the pills and the cultivation method away and finally felt a little better. Seeing that Emo still didn't have any intentions of taking out the key, the voice said impatiently after a while, "Why haven't you opened the ruin yet?" Emo looked around and said, If only there was a flying cultivation artifact. Does the ruin have that? Emo desired a middle-grade flying spirit artifact the most. However, if he could get a cultivation artifact, why would he settle with a spirit artifact? The voice said in contempt, "A flying cultivation artifact is nothing. There's plenty of that in the ruin. Don't think that I'm trying to seduce you to open the ruin. The reason I want you to open it is because there's something I want from inside too. It's a level 9 spirit herb. It's called the Immortal Curl Flower. There are plenty of Immortal Curl Flowers inside. I just need one. Although I'm in the ruin, I'm only a spiritual body. I can't get close to the Immortal Curl Flower, so I need your help. You only need to give me one after you get it." Emo sneered. This person's words were a mixture of truth and lies. However, Emo could tell that this person had realized he had a rare flame and that was a pill master. That's why he said such things. The Immortal Curl Flower was said to be a level 9 spirit herb, but it had long surpassed the realm of spirit herbs. It could be called the Immortal Herb. It was a treasure that everyone in the cultivation realm desired. Its greatest power was building a body. A ghost cultivator or a spiritual body could build the perfect body for themselves through the Immortal Curl Flower. Even if one wasn't a ghost cultivator, with this flower, they had a chance to rebuild a new body. This herb was talked about in legends. He knew that no one in the cultivation realm that had ever found it before. However, if a spiritual body was too weak and it didn't have a ghost core, it wouldn't be able to get near the Immortal Curl Flower. If they got near it, they would immediately be devoured. They could only use an Immortal Curl Flower that had already been plucked. Emo could tell that the reason this guy had said this was to make him think that he hadn't reached golden core state in terms of ghost cultivation. Thus, he would be no match for him. No matter what, Emo didn't believe this guy and he wasn't going to do as he said. "This means you haven't formed a ghost core yet?" Emo asked intentionally. The voice hesitated and then said, "But I believe that in a few more decades I will be able to form a ghost core for sure. Only an idiot would believe that." Emo shook his head. "Actually, I'm not interested in the Immortal Curl Flower. My greatest interest is having a flying cultivation artifact." At this moment, the entity behind the voice had clearly realized Emo was telling lies. Everything he had said before was a trick. He even suspected that Emo could tell this place was a seal. Otherwise, why would he go through all that effort to pull the key out? However, Emo was his only hope now. Hence, even though he knew Emo was scamming him, he could only say, "Look, this is the level 10-9 feathers golden perch. This type of feather can even make extreme-grade cultivation artifacts. My power is limited, so I can't move some of the cultivation artifacts." Emo immediately grabbed it. He was filled with joy just by looking at the azure feather. This feather itself was no less valuable than any top-grade cultivation artifact. The strong power the feather emitted even shocked Emo. Emo placed the feather in a jade box and sent it into his golden page world. Seeing that Emo was ignoring him again, the voice released his anger and said, "Now, will you open the ruin already? If there are some other extreme-grade spirit stones, then I'd be really interested. Are there some inside?" Emo suddenly clapped his hand in excitement. "Insect, are you here to make fun of me?" The voice finally couldn't resist it anymore. Emo heard his and realized he couldn't get any more out of this guy. So he said coldly too, "Are you a ghost? A ghost that can see that I have a rare flame inside my body? When did I see that?" The voice subconsciously answered. Then, "How do you know I'm a pill master?" Emo quickly asked. The voice didn't remember when he called Emo a pill master. He paused, and then he realized that Emo was tricking him. Clearly, Emo had realized that he could see that he had a rare flame after he mentioned the Immortal Curl Flower. Such meticulous thinking process. The voice said helplessly, "You're right. I shouldn't have mentioned the Immortal Curl Flower." Emo sneered. "Even if you hadn't talked about the Immortal Curl Flower, I wouldn't have broken the seal to let you out. A ruin? You can trick other people, but not me." After Emo said that, the voice turned extremely cold. "So that means you've been tricking me this whole time? You've got what you wanted. Yet now you don't plan on opening the ruin. It was just 2 sentences, but Emo almost felt himself shiver. What strong power. But Emo soon regained his composure. Trick you? Don't make yourself sound so pitiful. I'm disgusted. You've been saying this is a ruin non-stop, you never said it was a seal. From the beginning to the end, you've been thinking of how to trick me to open the seal. As for these things, I found them here. I never asked about them from you. How is that tricking you? The voice's owner was speechless. Emo never asked him indeed. He just said it would be great if he had them. The voice's owner just hadn't realized this. The voice didn't keep arguing about this problem. It laughed. Open my seal, and I can swear I won't hurt you and will let you go out. I have a lot of good things, and there are a lot of treasures here. I can give it all to you. If you don't want to open it, then after a few more years have passed, I will still be able to open the seal myself. By then, you would be the first person I want to kill. Moreover, even if you don't open the seal, do you think you can just leave? This is an 8-gate spirit locking formation. Unless you also have a level 8 teleportation rune like that person from before, you will be trapped here like me. Emo had still wanted to ask who had trapped this man here and why the key would be in the outside world, but after hearing that, he lost interest. The most important thing for him now wasn't to ask about that, but to find a way out. He didn't have a level 8 teleportation rune. But Emo didn't believe his last sentence. He was at most trapped outside the seal. This was completely different to being sealed inside the seal. If it really was inside the seal, then he was sure that even the woman before wouldn't be able to leave. Seeing Emo ignore him again, the voice said more things, but Emo ignored it all. Eventually, the voice stopped talking, as the owner was made to wonder why he couldn't sense the key anymore. 2 days later, Emo was still walking around the hall without any progress. At the moment, he was really getting a bit desperate, and eventually, he just sat down. He knew that if he kept going around like that, it wouldn't help him at all. Emo stared at the rink. He was sure that it changed places not because it changed to a different face of the wall, but because the hall was spinning. When he first came in, he was facing the wall with the rink. As long as he found the wall facing the rink, he would find the entrance. Emo sat down and started investigating how the wall with the door could have suddenly disappeared. Emo thought there might be a stealth formation hiding the door, but after Emo used every method he could think of, he still didn't find any stealth formation. Space formation door? Just when he didn't know what to do, these words popped into his head. He came in through a space formation door. Would the entrance also be a space formation door? Thinking about this, Emo's heart sunk. There were many types of space formation doors, and although Emo couldn't lay down any of them, he knew there were conditions to activate one. If it really was a space formation door, then he really wouldn't be able to go out. Unless he could reach the level of building a space formation door himself one day, he would never be able to leave through this 8-sided hall space formation door. A few more days passed without Emo finding any way to escape. He was very worried being trapped there. The voice seemed to know that Emo didn't want to talk to him, so it never talked, as though waiting for Emo to ask for his help after experiencing defeat. On the 9th day, Emo in his dejectedness took out the half an eye he obtained from the 3-eyed purple frog and started to spirit control it. Half a day later, the eye turned into nothing, and some simple spirit sense refining and basic attacking means appeared in Emo's mind. Emo rejoiced and even forgot about going out. A spirit sense attack? The voice sounded. After cultivating the 3-birth chant, he could learn it with the slightest of hints and form his own cultivation method based on those hints. The spirit sense attack was no different. When Emo opened his eyes again, he felt that although his spirit sense hadn't gotten stronger, it was more refined. He could even make a simple spirit sense attack to stun the opponent now. When Emo tried his spirit sense attack on a wall, a huge door suddenly appeared. Emo rejoiced and was flustered at the same time. No way. Was his spirit sense attack that strong? He had just begun learning it. But soon Emo understood what was going on. Someone else was coming. Before anyone even appeared, Emo already understood from the power waves that there were at least 3 nascent soul state cultivators coming. The door had opened and they hadn't come in yet. So without wasting even a moment, Emo dashed out of the first door and stayed by the door side, not daring to move. Even if he was risking his life, he was going to try to get out. If he didn't get out, he would be killed by those who came in anyways. As soon as Emo left the hall, he heard the furious rage of that voice, but soon he couldn't hear it anymore. He knew why the voice raged. Emo had taken away the key. Emo was very confident in his stealth cultivation method, but he wasn't too sure against nascent soul state cultivators. He acted like a rock on the side of the road, emitting no chi whatsoever. But Emo knew that if nascent soul state cultivators were to continuously keep their spirit sense on him, he would be caught no matter what. Thus, he only dared to hide at a place not far from the door, so the cultivators would see the door and ignore him. He didn't dare to hide into the golden page world yet. He couldn't change its color, so if a golden light suddenly appeared in midair, it would be found by them. There's a door here. It seems Zijiang went in from here. A low voice said not far from Emo. It seems these people came to find Fei Zijiang. It really was good to have a sect, for people had come, and 3 of them quickly passed through the door. The last person was almost about to step in as well when Emo clearly felt him hesitate, about to step back. But eventually he didn't. Emo then couldn't help it anymore and dashed up the stairs towards outside. Was something wrong? One of them noticed and asked. The last cultivator frowned and said, "There's something strange here, so let's go back out first. When I first came in, I seemed to have felt someone hiding by the door, but when I wanted to check it, I came in subconsciously first. Someone who can hide even from us? Is he a nascent soul state cultivator too, maybe even stronger than us?" One of the party said. The last cultivator shook his head. "He might not be as strong as us, but he must be at nascent soul state for sure. Otherwise, how could we be tricked? I'll go back to Chehim." As the 3 turned around, they saw the door that was behind them disappear. "This place is very dangerous," the last cultivator said. Emo dashed outside through the space formation door and the stealth formation as fast as he could. He got on Zisu without even daring to turn around. He carried a purple beam with him as he howled past the sky of the all-herb mountain ranges. He could no longer care about staying low-key. It would be success if he got out of the all-herb mountain ranges. There were 4 states on Luoyu continent and each continent was boundless. However, all of them put together weren't even close to the size of the Heartless Sea. The South Peace State was the best cultivation ground on Luoyu continent. The Black Ice Sect was one of the 9-star sects there, which was situated on the famous Black Ice Mountain. It was said that the sect had been built more than 100,000 years ago. It had always been on the top 3 amongst the 9-star sects. In the past millennium, the Black Ice Sect was no longer as glorious as before and it was at the bottom of the 9-star sections. Even its 9-star grade was in danger. Yet recently they had acquired a few genius disciples. All of these sort of signs showed that the Black Ice Sect seemed to be able to rise up again and reach the top 3. In a 10,000 kilometers radius around the Black Ice Mountain, there was 1 main peak, 18 side peaks, and 108 supplementary peaks. The main peak was the Black Ice Peak, where the core of the sect was. Truth realization state cultivators used to be the only ones that could stay at the side peaks, but that had changed too. Now, there was only 1 truth realization state cultivator in the sect. Hence, those who reached cauldron filling state could live on the side peaks. Those above cauldron filling state were the grand elders of the sect. As for the supplementary peaks, they had been accommodated for the inner sect elders and some managers, as well as cultivator who had made huge contributions to the sect. Other than these peaks, there were countless small peaks on the Black Ice Mountain. These were awarded to excellent sect members. To all the cultivators there, their greatest desire was to study under one of the 18-side peak leaders and become a core disciple. Only then could they live there. However, most sect members wouldn't even be able to get into the 108 supplementary peaks. The Black Wind Peak was also one of the 18-side peaks. This peak's leader was one of the cauldron-filling state grand elders of the sect, Fan Lianju. The spirit chi there was extremely dense and there was an individual spirit range underneath the spirit-gathering formation. From a room on this peak, a woman of unparalleled beauty walked outside. There was some joy in her despondent eyes. "Sister Susu, have you reached Golden Core State?" Another beautiful woman came out of the house next door and said in excitement, "N. Beiwei, you're almost at Golden Core State too. Hopefully, someday we will be able to cross the Heartless Sea and go to the East Black State to see if your brother is there," Susu replied. Beiwei nodded. "N. I also miss my brother. Sai, we came together as 5 before, but now we've gone to 3 different sections. I wonder how Sister Xianxia, Z, and Luo Fei are." Clearly, they didn't know that Yimo was in the North Far State. So Luo Ying, who had recovered her memories, believed Yimo had gone to the East Black State. They wanted to cross the Heartless Sea to find Yimo. However, without having power above body condensation state, it was a joke. Hearing this, Luo Ying's joy of reaching Golden Core State disappeared. It was fine as long as they cultivated non-stop every day. However, once they stopped, that burning longing scraped their heart. Luo Ying didn't tell Beiwei that Yimo's talent was average. In a few decades, they might have still not found Yimo yet, even if they reached cauldron-filling state. Moreover, Luo Ying was worried that Yimo hadn't come to Luo Yu continent at all. If that was the case, they would never be able to see Yimo again. She knew it was a coincidence that they had come there. If they wanted to go back, it would be impossible unless they had world-dominating power. That kind of power wasn't something that could be achieved by the cultivators of the cultivation realm. If she could choose, Luo Ying would rather go back to Earth and live with Yimo in Luo Yu City. In her eyes, it was SOSO to live thousands of years without Yimo. She would rather live a few decades with Yimo. Tang Beiwei was also worried that her brother hadn't come there, but she didn't say it out loud. If they said it out loud, then they would lose hope and stop cultivating. "Sister Susu, we didn't go to the Desert Plain Herb Valley this time because our power was too low. Are we going to the South Peace City Cultivator meeting next April?" Tang Beiwei changed the topic. Luo Ying came back to her senses and nodded. "Core disciples like us aren't allowed to leave the sect without a certain level of power. Qingxue will probably go to the meeting next year. It'd be good if we saw each other." "Sister Susu, last time I went to Treasure Tower, I heard something. That 9-star Infinity Sect's core disciple Wuxia said she would challenge you after reaching Golden Core State. If we go to the South Peace City next year, will we meet her there?" "She ranked number 1 in the Golden Core State Hall of Fame," Tang Beiwei asked worriedly. Luo Ying looked at Tang Beiwei in confusion. "I don't even know her. Why is she challenging me? I'm not interested in fighting. If she thinks she's strong, I won't disagree. What has that got to do with me?" Tang Beiwei shook her head. "It's not that. You and her both ranked first beauties of the South Peace State. On top of that, the person she likes is Yuan Guanan from the Infinity Sect. But the person he likes isn't her. That Yuan Guanan said after he reached nascent soul state, he would come and propose to us. Yuan Guanan liked Wuxia a lot before we came, but after we got here, Luo Ying said calmly, I'm not going to compare myself to her. I have a husband, she can like whoever she wants. It has nothing to do with me." Tang Beiwei nodded. "Yes, she's the most beautiful in the South Peace State, yet she's that bored. I heard there's a Dong Tianyan who likes her in her sect, but she doesn't like him back. I really wonder who that Yuan Guanan is. How can he make her love him so much? Beiwei, let's not care about such things. We need to focus on cultivation. This isn't our home," Luo Ying said. "I know, sister." Tang Beiwei poked her tongue out. The North Far State's Jiangchuan City was as populated as Broken Leaf City. Cultivators and mortals lived amongst each other. The spirit chi there was arid and there weren't many cultivation resources nearby. It was also very far from the Heartless Sea. So there were rather less cultivators there and no high-level cultivators. The highest level there was only at Foundation Establishment State. There were occasional Golden Core State passerbys. Even the city lord there was just a martial artist. Those with higher power wouldn't stay there. They would go to a place with more spirit chi. When Yimo got there, it had already been 3 months after he had escaped from the All-Herb Valley. During these 3 months, Yimo had been to 15 cities and 4 small countries. Some were cultivation cities and some were just mortal cities. Yimo had tried to avoid cultivators from the Ghost Immortal sect, as well as that black and white halfway pill king. He chose distant places. Emo was still wearing 9 transformations. The reason why Emo was taking so long was partly due to taking alternate routes, but more so because he was studying the Heaven Ascension pill. He didn't dare take it, but if he could make it himself, he of course would dare eat that. Even if he spent 1 year to study it and half a year to raise his level, he felt it would be worth it because without it, he would need at least a few years to reach Golden Core State peak stage with other resources. If he didn't have pills or any special resources, he wouldn't be able to reach the Golden Core State peak stage even after 5 or 6 decades. Luckily, Emo didn't waste the past 3 months. Although he hadn't decoded the pill yet, he found something and knew at least 2 ingredients. What made Emo especially happy was that his Spirit Sense attack had formed a basic model. He had named his Spirit Sense attack Purple Eye Soul Sever. Emo divided it into 7 levels. The first level allowed Emo's Spirit Sense to attack someone else's Spirit Sense by forming a Spirit Sense pike. The instant of the attack would render a piercing pain to the opponent's Spirit Sense, making them dizzy for a brief moment. But there was a condition for the attach, which was that the opponent had to send out their Spirit Sense first. The second level could actually sever the part of Spirit Sense the opponent was sending out, thereby injuring their soul. The third level could form a Spirit Sense sword. From this level onward, it was no longer a matter of just making the opponent be stunned for a brief moment. It could attack the opponent's sea of consciousness. If their sea of consciousness wasn't strong enough, it could get broken by the Spirit Sense sword. Even if the opponent didn't send out their Spirit Sense, the attack would still be effective. If Emo could reach level 7, he would be able to use the Spirit Sense attack to crush his enemy's sea of consciousness and turn them into an idiot. It was very hard to defend against the Purple Eye Soul Sever unless the opponent had a Spirit Sense defensive magic artifact. However, the attack also had a fatal weakness to it. It also injured the attacker's Spirit Sense, and it had a huge requirement on the power of the attacker's Spirit Sense. Even Emo would only be able to use level 1 twice right now. If he continued to use it after that, he would be the one to faint first. The greater the power, the greater the side effects, but Emo believed that as his Spirit Sense kept getting stronger, one day he would be able to ignore such injuries. Emo had also gone from the Golden Core State level 2 primary stage to the middle stage. This was thanks to a bottle of green condensed pills and was quite a lot. Coming to the city Emo was currently in, he was in no rush to cultivate. He found a hotel and was prepared to stay a day before going. Emo had a habit of carefully scouting the area to see if there were wanted signs for him each time he came to a new place. If he found any signs, he would immediately change directions. He wasn't afraid of wasting time, but he was very afraid of bringing along any enemies to Pei High City. He hadn't seen any wanted signs for him on the way yet, but he was still very careful. As soon as Emo came, he noticed there were no high-level cultivators. The highest-leveled cultivator was only at the Foundation establishment state. The first thing Emo did after coming to the hotel was to send out his Spirit Sense to cover the entire city. Despite knowing there were no Golden Core State cultivators around, he didn't cockily cover the entire heavens with his Spirit Sense. Compared to Earth, Emo felt that he should be more careful with his current power on Luoyu continent. As Emo sent out his Spirit Sense, he felt a sense of familiarity. Emo immediately looked over and saw a young girl wearing a bracelet. The girl looked cute and wasn't ugly in any way. What shook him, though, was the bracelet. It was a bracelet he had made, a magic artifact that could attack and defend. Emo liked to leave his Spirit Sense mark on magic artifacts he made. Clearly, someone he knew had lost it. Emo no longer had the mood to keep watching patiently, so he went to the young girl's room and grabbed her wrist, taking the bracelet. The girl was enjoying reading in her room when a man suddenly appeared from the sky and menacingly took her bracelet, so she immediately screamed. Clearly, her family was well off and had some power as this was a private manor. After her scream, 2 maids immediately came, and one of them wasn't too bad in terms of power. Emo didn't care, however. The moment he took the bracelet, he knew who it belonged to. It was the one he told Ning Qingxue to bring to Su Jingwen. Clearly, Su Jingwen had also come here but didn't seem to be doing well. Emo knew that had Emo stayed with Su Jingwen. "Who are you? Why did you come to my room, taking my thing?" The The girl calmed down quickly. She could tell that this man only cared about the bracelet and didn't even stop her from screaming. "Miss, what happened?" The two maids immediately positioned themselves in front of the girl. EMO asked the girl coldly, "Where did you get this bracelet?" "Why should I tell you?" The girl's tone wasn't nice as hearing the footsteps in the yard. She knew the guards were already there, and she felt confident. Immediately, a few strong guards appeared by the door. One man came up and heaved a sigh of relief after seeing the young miss was fine, and he quickly asked, "Miss, what is going on? Did this man hurt you? Should we capture him?" Before the girl could talk, EMO waved his hand, and the guards were all swept away like leaves falling into the yard. The girl opened her mouth in shock, and before she could scream again, EMO raised his hand, and the makeup desk in front of her turned into dust. Then she heard EMO's even colder voice. "I'll give you 3 seconds. If you don't speak, then you don't need to speak ever again." This involved Su Jingwen's life, so EMO had zero patience. The maid reacted first. She immediately realized that this person was some legendary immortal master. She began to shake, as these immortal masters didn't need a reason to kill. They did whatever they wanted. This immortal master was even furious and clearly had little patience at that. She resisted the fear and quickly shook the girl. The girl reacted and called out in excitement, "You're an immortal master?" 1, 2. EMO counted bleakly. The girl just realized now wasn't the time to admire EMO, and she quickly answered, "I saw this bracelet at the precious jewelry tower. It was very pretty, so I bought it." After saying that, she was going to keep talking, but she found that the man had already disappeared. "I saw an immortal master today, and a very powerful one." The girl was still immersed in the experience. "Miss, quiet. Those immortal masters have strange tempers and kill on a whim," the maid reminded. A moment later, EMO appeared before the precious jewelry tower. "Hello, sir. Are you here to buy jewelry? Please go up the stairs." A waiter immediately came up. EMO had no mood to waste time with him and said, "Tell your manager to come here. I have business with him." The attendant could tell that EMO was probably not there to buy jewelry but to start trouble. His tone was no longer as polite as before, and he said calmly, "The manager isn't here. Sir, if you're not here to buy jewelry, please leave." Then he looked at the 2 martial artists at the door. Clearly they were the guards. The 2 guards walked over and said to EMO, "Sir, if you're not here to buy anything, leave." Before they could finish, they were thrown out and smashed onto the door sign, shattering the luxurious shop sign. They fell onto the streets holding their legs and were crying out in pain. Then EMO said coldly, "Tell your manager to come. If you say any more bullshit, I will tear this place apart." EMO was burning with desperation and was not going to use calm means. He needed to know where Su Jingwen was as quickly as possible. Su Jingwen was the first girl he met on Earth, and EMO was with her too. Without the attendant even having to call, a very fat man suddenly rushed down. He immediately saluted with his fists and said respectfully, "I didn't know a mortal master had arrived. My apologies for all the rudeness. Please have a seat upstairs." Clearly, this manager had been watching what was happening downstairs. EMO took out a bracelet and said, "Did this come from your place?" The manager now knew that EMO had to be there because of the bracelet and quickly said, Yes. It was sold from my shop 5 days ago by the young miss of the Qin Manor, Qin Baihe. I didn't ask you who bought it. I want to know where you got it from." EMO calmed down a little, seeing the manager was cooperating. The manager was clearly astute, and he knew that the bracelet hadn't come through proper means. If ordinary people came to investigate, he wouldn't tell the truth. But now an immortal master came and asked. He didn't dare to lie at all. If he offended an immortal master, his entire shop would be immediately disintegrated, much less his fame. Although they also had an immortal master behind their back. Who knew if they wouldn't reach some deal? Also, it just wasn't worth it for an ordinary person to hide things from an immortal master. And so, without hesitation, the manager said, "It was the 4 Pei brothers we got it from. They used to dominate the local martial scene, and every once in a while, they would come sell some things. This bracelet dash. Where are they now? Emo asked. The manager immediately replied, they aren't in Jianchuan City. They're in the Pei family manor outside the city. It's 50 kilometers to the east from here. The manager gave very specific details without Emo needing to ask. Seeing Emo suddenly disappear from right in front of him after saying that, he was even more scared. Luckily, he didn't offend the immortal master. It seemed this was no ordinary immortal master. It was near winter and there were rarely people outside the city. People gathered inside the city walls, and so the streets seemed busy. When Emo got to the Pei family manor, it was also very populated. For men were drinking in a room with a few beautiful maids serving them wine on the side. That Ma Yanwen really knows how to enjoy life, starting dual cultivation with that Lao Shensi. Does he have nothing to do? How can he live joyfully like us, drinking wine and eating meat? A man on the left said with a little drunkenness. The skinny man opposite him smiled and said, third brother, aren't you just jealous that us four don't have spirit roots? That man gulped another cup. Clearly he was a little jealous. The man sitting at the head seat said, second brother, you don't need to say that. Although we live an enjoyable life, it's not as good as those immortal masters. Living hundreds of years and all that. I heard that next spring, the Changhe River will start taking in disciples. We should go have a look too. Just when they wanted to agree, a voice said, that's if you have the life to go. The four shot up and saw a man suddenly appear in their room, watching them coldly. Who are you? The big brother stopped them from attacking and asked. He knew that this person quite possibly might be an immortal master to be able to appear in their room without them noticing. Emo took out a bracelet. Where did you get this bracelet from? All four brothers could tell Emo didn't harbor good intentions, so the fourth brother suddenly said, this is the first time I've seen this bracelet. We have never had anything to do with it. Emo didn't look at him, but his spirit sense easily caught the glimmer in his eyes. Clearly the fellow was lying. Emo threw out a wind blade casually, and the fourth brother was sliced in half before he could even scream. Blood splashed out onto the floor. The maids immediately fainted at such a bloody scene. The other three couldn't take it anymore. One of the four brothers was killed. They pulled out their swords and charged up. Emo could tell that their brotherhood was extreme, so it would be impossible to interrogate them. Thinking about this, Emo no longer had the intention of asking questions. He killed another one and controlled the souls of the other two to interrogate them. The two had never cultivated before, so it was very easy to do so. If they had formed spirit sense, it would be very hard. Soul-searching someone with spirit sense would be even more implausible as it required at least truth realization state power and a soul-searching cultivation method. 15 minutes later, Emo killed the last two and left this Pei manor. He had learned of the bracelet story. 2 months earlier, Jiangchuan City had a battle with the nearby Fu Mo City. It was a battle between two cultivators initially, but countless people in the cities died. People soon started to flee, including the wealthy families. Some wealthy families brought along guards, but most of them were in a chaotic state, so the four brothers used the opportunity to rob all those asylum seekers. From what they knew, this bracelet was taken from some very ugly woman. Emo asked repeatedly, but the men assured him that the woman didn't have another girl by her. Clearly Emo wasn't there, whether that ugly woman was Su Jingwen in disguise or not. Finding out that those asylum seekers had all ended up in Jiangchuan City, Emo came back to the city again. He searched with his spirit sense, and in order for Su Jingwen not to be shocked by seeing him, he took off 9 transformations. Emo believed that as long as Su Jingwen was there, he could find her. Meanwhile, the sky grew dark, and more snowflakes started floating. Soon, the ground was covered in a thin layer of white snow. Emo stood above the city. The city walls were big but could only block some wind. If Su Jingwen was in the city, she would have nowhere to go once it snowed. Emo could only hope she found a good place to stay. Emo was very desperate, but he couldn't find Su Jingwen in the end. He gradually calmed down. He knew he had to calm down to find one person out of 1 million people. So he stood in the center of the street and searched with his spirit sense again and again. As the snow grew bigger, the busy streets quickly quietened down. Soon, there was only Emo on this street. Emo kept searching very carefully and didn't even notice a layer of snow was forming on him. The places Emo needed to search were fewer and fewer, but this just made him more worried. He had searched 90% of the area, but there were still no signs of Su Jingwen. A woman wearing rags stumbled across the street Emo was at. She noticed Emo standing in the center of the street, cloaked in snow, and had a sudden resonance in her heart. Was this person standing in the snow like her due to something he didn't want to let go? She knew that once the snow fell, the frigid winter had arrived. Her days of roaming outside would be over. If she couldn't find a good place to go, then she would have to prepare for death. She wanted to roam around in the snow and think about her days in Ninghai. Think about how she went from Ninghai to Luoyu City for him. From Luoyu to that small world, and then from the small world to this living hell. After reminiscing those days, she would leave Jiangchuan City and find a peaceful place in the wilderness to settle and leave this world peacefully. Perhaps in her next life, she would find a place where she truly belonged. Perhaps in her next life, she would find love in someone who also loved her back. Her only pity was that her bracelet had been stolen. If only she could leave the world with the bracelet still on her. She had no regrets. Sometimes, people needed to pursue what they wanted in life, and she wasn't a woman who could settle for anything. She just wondered if her mother was all right. If Emo, Wanqing, and Sister Yuehua were fine. She wondered if he was fine. Perhaps no one would ever know that her final destination had been a place like this, a world like this. She walked past Emo, who was standing still. When she was only a few meters away, her heart suddenly ached. She turned around and looked at the man who stood still in the middle of the street. The bracelet he was holding in his hands. She was dazed. After a long while, she moved her eyes from the bracelet to Yemo's face. Although Yemo's eyes were closed and there was a layer of snow on his hair and brows, she was still shook. An unexplainable feeling gushed out from the depth of her heart. Am I dead? Am I hallucinating? Is this person really him? Why is it so real? She didn't wipe her eyes. She didn't dare move. She was scared that this figure would disappear and she would wake up from her hallucination to realize she was still by herself in that endless strange world. Tears flowed down her eyes, finally letting go countless hardships. She had never teared up, but at that moment she couldn't control her tears anymore. In her loneliest and most helpless moments, she hadn't considered crying even though she had been about to die. But seeing this person before her, she could no longer bear the feeling of helplessness, loneliness, and grief in her heart. She wanted to cry. However, this was even more of a reason not to move. She would rather die slowly like this than make the hallucination before her eyes disappear. She didn't dare say a word. When I first met you, I was walking down the busy streets of my hometown, the hustling crowd around us. You were alone in a corner of the street selling charms. At that time, you weren't a part of world yet, but you saved my mother. When I met you for the last time, I was walking on the streets of a foreign place, flying snowflakes around us. You stand alone in the middle of the street waiting for the snow. At that moment, you were only the hallucination of my mind. You allow me to leave without any regrets. The snow had also covered her body, but she didn't move nor blink. She wasn't going to let the person before her disappear even if it was just an illusion. Emo's heart sunk. He hadn't let anyone pass his spirit sense. He had fully committed his mind to searching. Even if someone had tried to attack him, he wouldn't have noticed. He probably had never been so focused on doing something. However, he had been searching nearby and hadn't found Su Jingwen at all. Emo sighed. He was prepared to take back his spirit sense and leave when he saw someone standing a few meters from him, not moving. How far does someone have to search? Sometimes you search around everywhere, but you can't see that what you're looking for is right in front of your eyes. Jingwen. Emo immediately realized that the person in front of him was Su Jingwen. He had been looking for her, but she had found him first. Since she had found him, why wasn't she talking? Why was she just standing there? Su Jingwen had a faint smile on her face. 2 rows of tears were frozen on her face. She didn't have Yi Mo's cultivation essence power. Her body was weak to begin with. If she hadn't had that faith holding her, she would have fallen down already. Yi Mo's spirit sense immediately noticed that Su Jingwen was on the brink of death. He was shook. He quickly grabbed her and took her to his hotel. Yi Mo took off her disguise, unveiling that pretty and familiar face of hers. With Yi Mo's power and Pill King prowess, it wasn't hard for him to heal Su Jingwen. Yet, what disappointed Yi Mo was that no matter what he did, Su Jingwen simply had a smile on her face and looked at him. If he disappeared from her sight, she would tear up. Yi Mo was sad. He hadn't thought Su Jingwen had such feelings for him. In the depth of his heart, he felt guilty. He had thought of many people, but he had been worried about Su Jingwen due to Yi Mo. He remembered when Su Jingwen invited him to dinner. The first dance of his life had been with Su Jingwen. No matter what, I will cure her. Yi Mo made up his mind. He started to remove her clothes and shower her. Yi Mo was just going to stay in the city for a day. But because of Su Jingwen, he stayed for 3 days. On the 4th day, he took her to the most famous doctor there. He was a cultivator, so he never had thought he would need a mortal doctor. Even though he was powerful and a pill king, he didn't know what was wrong with Su Jingwen. He had refined Su Jingwen's marrow for her and even cured her old sickness. But she was still like this. Yi Mo had taken her to many clinics, but none of them could even tell what was wrong with her. However, at least he knew that one person might know what was wrong with her. That man was Dr. King Sun Hochong. It was said that he was not only a Dr. King, but also an immortal master. He lived on the Min He mountain thousands of kilometers from there. Yi Mo immediately headed towards this place. Yet, Yi Mo could only hold Su Jingwen in his arms. He couldn't carry her on his back as she would start crying as soon as she couldn't see him. After getting there, Yi Mo immediately realized that Sun Hochong was just an ordinary solo cultivator, and one who wasn't so powerful. Spirit Chi was scarce there too. Seeing this, Yi Mo was greatly disappointed. Sun Hochong was worse than him, and he was perhaps this famous only due to his status as a cultivator. But regardless, he had to check if this Sun Hochong actually had skills. Yi Mo didn't know if Sun Hochong had the skills, but he certainly thought highly of himself. Yi Mo was stopped outside the formation. 2 Chi-gathering female disciples said that their master was outside and he hadn't come back yet. As soon as they said this, 2 men came out. One had a beard up to his chest and seemed like an immortal. The other was an ordinary-looking man. Yet, Yi Mo realized that these 2 cultivators were at Golden Core State Level 7. "Brother Sun, I'll rely on you for this matter," the ordinary-looking man said. Yi Mo immediately could tell that the bearded man was Sun Hochong. Sun Hochong laughed. "Dao friendly, don't worry. I will do my best. In 1 month, you will receive good news."